Right now, at this moment in time, everybody should be buzzing, talking about Aion 2. Instead of what is happening, everybody's talking about Guild Wars 3. And it's kind of funny, ironic, because Guild Wars 3 is not coming in the next 2 years.
Right now, this game, like some people in chat said, it feels more like a dungeon simulator. So why would you spend so much time creating this vast and beautiful world, spending so much time on creating literally what is the best looking MMO in the market right now, only to completely disregard that aspect of the game?
Very simple answer. Aion 2 pay to win, same like content of the Aion 2 is AAA quality. It's a modern pay to win, adjusted to 2026. I refuse to play non-pay to win trash. And I believe it's not fair, it's absolutely unfair that you play product of this quality without paying ever any money. That's crazy to me.
Don't promote your game as a free-to-play game then. I feel like if you're going to market the game as a free-to-play title, you should not punish free-to-play players to effectively participate in the game's economy.
If you want that your game dies, very simple. Make more PvP game than PvE game is dead. If they decide to move more in PvP and go a little bit PvP, a little bit PvE, it's going to happen same thing like Throne and Liberty. The game will be dead within half year.
First, guys, thank you for joining us on today's episode. I have a very special guest today, which is Kruno, or better known as Society of Gaming. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
For some of the viewers that may not know you, since you've been pretty vocal and present in the Aion 2 community, can you give us a bit more introduction about yourself, your background, like experience with other games, things like that, your content, your channel, etc.?
Well, thank you for the opportunity to present a little bit myself. Well, my name is Kruno. I'm a content creator for my YouTube channel, Society of Gaming. Why did I name it Society of Gaming? Don't ask me. I have no idea. Maybe I should name it Kruno, but it is what it is now. I'm not going to change the game now. And yes, I'm basically making content about MMORPGs with main focus on new upcoming MMORPGs. I'm coming from world of MMORPGs. My main game is definitely Aion. This is my home. This is my turf, right? You know. So I'm coming from Aion. I can play that game more than 15 years, probably like 30,000 hours. It's impossible to estimate, to be honest. It's hard to say. Anyway, I can play also other MMORPGs, also like Lost Ark, New World, Black Desert Online, whatever you name it. Basically, in the last 10-15 years, I did play it, but I didn't stick too long time. I can mostly play Aion, and I did also try to play other general games. I'm currently also sometimes, if it's something sponsored, I can check anime, gacha game, even mobile game, if they pay well. But in generally, I'm playing MMORPGs, and because I love MMORPGs, and currently I'm having big focus on Aion 2. In the future also Chrono Odyssey, Riot Games, MMORPG, Guild Wars 3, Lord of Mysteries. There are like several games, you know, Aslan also, right, which are coming, but main focus, Aion 2.
Now, Kruno,
it's okay.
Last Friday, big news for not only the Aion community, but for the Guild Wars 3 community. What a night, dude. What a night. Not only we get an actual announcement for that actual Guild Wars 3 is in development and it's coming sooner than most people had probably even dreamed about, but also we have a, I wouldn't say a release date, we have a much tighter release window regarding Aion 2. What's your thought on this? Did you see September coming? Did you think that maybe it would be August, July? What's your view on that?
Well, I saw it coming, definitely, right? So there wasn't doubt for me even 1 second it will be September. It's a logical move from many different perspectives. From business perspective, because summer is over and people are coming home, right? They go to school, to work, right? So beginning of September, like, okay, possibly mid-September or late September is definitely a logical move. And also, right, from marketing perspective, they need time to market the game. They need time for, you know, to advertise the game and everything. So I didn't expect, actually. I was kind of hoping a little bit, maybe it will be August. But on the end of the day, I'm pretty much happy also. I think we can be satisfied with September. So this is something to expect. It's a shame that we didn't get the date. It is what it is, right? At least, look, at least now we know there is no delays, absolutely no delays. We are getting the game, definitely no mistake about that. Will it be like early, mid, or end of September? That remains to be seen. It would be nicer to have a date, though, but I guess they have some reason why they didn't do it. Maybe they're saving that to increase the hype a little bit later. Maybe they're going to announce it in a few weeks. Maybe they're saving it for Gamescom 2026. I hope they're not going to save it for that long. I don't know, but it's still a big deal. It's definitely there, right? So no delays. This year we are getting Aion 2 globally. It's coming. A marketing campaign have started, and I think this was very nice. And they didn't save the money. They were really, it's very expensive. You have seen like what 30 seconds is $250,000 on Summer Game Fest. So they didn't really save the money. They have a budget. Obviously, every game have a budget, but that budget is looking pretty good this time because it's not cheap to put a trailer on Summer Game Fest, and I think it's a good start from NC America in general, right? So it's a good start, you know. What do you think about this?
Well,
Did you
speaking
expect
of,
this?
I actually want to touch upon something we discussed prior to even starting today's podcast, and you actually made a
Yes.
very solid observation. During the Summer Game Fest, they obviously Guild Wars 3 was first announced. I believe it came before Aion 2. And later we have information about the sort of monetization plans for Guild Wars 3, which is, I think it's buy to play or something like this. So basically they said no subscriptions, no battle passes, etc., etc. The exact opposite for Aion 2 and its current model in Korea and Taiwan. Obviously right now we don't know anything regarding the global monetization. But you said something quite interesting, which was why would you, for example, because it comes from the same company, right? If you want to push Aion 2, so since it's the game that's going to come out before, for example, your next project, why would you almost cannibalize the hype for that? And if so,
Yes.
why do it in such a way, right? And I'm not trying to sort of have you can't be happy. No, it's amazing. I'm a Guild Wars fan. I would play Guild Wars 3, absolutely. I just thought it was funny, their marketing strategy regarding that, and why did they do it in the same way they would do it, especially for a game that's going to come out in like 2 or 3 years in the future, as opposed to a game that's coming out now and it already suffers some kind of negative perception and there's this negative reputation in the West, so on and so forth. So again, what's your view on this?
I'm surprised, honestly, because now here is my perspective on this. We are now after basically 3 days after Summer Game Fest 2026.
Yeah.
Instead of everybody talking about Aion 2, everybody's talking about Guild Wars 3. And wait, like you said, I don't mind. I'm going to play Guild Wars 3. I'm going to check it out. I'm also big fan of the franchise. Guild Wars is amazing. Guild Wars 2 is amazing game. Guild Wars is amazing IP. But wait a second. Right now, at this moment in time, everybody should be buzzing, talking about Aion 2. Instead of what is happening. Everybody's talking about Guild Wars 3. And it's kind of funny, ironic, because Guild Wars 3 is not coming in the next 2 years. It's coming
At the very least,
maybe 2029, right? Aion 2 is coming on the other side in September of this year globally, right? So it's kind of disappointing from that perspective.
Yeah.
But on the other side, like we said, we were talking about this a little bit before, right, when we were preparing for the podcast. Aion 2 did already launch.
Yeah.
Aion 2 did already launch in Korea and Taiwan. On the other side, definitely Guild Wars 3 didn't launch. It's some kind of mystery, right? Hopes are here, hype is there. So I do understand that. But still, it feels like that Guild Wars 3 announcement, Guild Wars 3 trailer did overshadow. That was the word last night from my stream. Somebody said that word. Kegi, I think, said that word on the chat, if I remember good. Overshadow Aion 2 trailer and announcement. In my opinion, and it's even kind of more ironic, it's the same mother company. It's the same company. It's
exactly.
Soft, right? So,
sorry,
if it was competition, right? Competition, I would say okay, but
it's actually I was watching today's Canon's video about Guild Wars 3 because there was some more information released about Guild Wars 3. And he himself mentioned that like it's funny how one of the least pay to win games is today's market, Guild Wars 2 and hopefully Guild Wars 3, as technically by the same company, NCSoft, which is notorious for its pay to win and its practices that are related to pay to win and stuff like that. Although ArenaNet obviously it's a separate company, it's not like NCSoft, but so yeah. Just to touch upon two things there while we were on the same subject, and we'll move on to Aion 2 because this is an Aion 2 podcast. Like you said, Ion already released. People have already seen the game. They already know what to expect. So that sort of initial excitement and hype from either veterans that expected Ion 2 to be something and then it turned out to be completely different, or people that were just curious what Ion 2 will be. They already know what it's going to look like. They already know what type of race. They already know what the gameplay loop sort of is, how the gameplay feels if you've played Taiwan, Korea, or you've seen other people play it and so on and so forth. So there's less mystery, there's like less excitement because the game is already out there, right? Not in the West, but still you can sort of see it and then already judge for yourself. Is it something you're interested in playing, or is it something that you're just going to wait for something else, right? And actually, it's funny enough, I already see some people saying, yeah, I'm just going to play until Guild Wars 3 release. And I kid you not, like even to me, like that sort of IP, because of the reputation of ArenaNet, it's normal that the excitement for people is more palpable for that specific game because ArenaNet has two very successful games behind its back that stood like the test of time, like decades, right? You have Guild Wars 1 and then its successor Guild Wars 2. So based on that, you can already at least have some faith and hope that that studio is going to make the right decisions. Whereas with NCSoft, it's without a shadow of a doubt, they can make fun games. They have made fun games. I mean, Lineage, you have like the original Aion, Blade and Soul, even Aion 2 right now. We're not talking about monetization right now, but as the core game, they are fun games. But again, when it comes to other things involved in making sure that the game is successful, as in management, monetization, roadmap, stuff like that, that's the thing that really worries people because even the last few years, we have just a few examples. Some of the most recent launches from NC Soft were Aion Classic, which was a massive success in Korea, but it didn't perform that well in the West. Then you also have Throne and Liberty, which was a flop in Korea and sort of saw a small success in the West, at least in the beginning, and then it fell short. Then you had Blade and Soul Neo, which was perhaps the most disastrous launch they've ever had, in my opinion. And then the next thing is Aion 2, which essentially saved them from, I feel like, going bankrupt, right? Because the moment it released, I think the first 40-something days after Aion 2 released, they've made like 75 plus million in revenue, which obviously shareholders happy, NCSoft happy, player not so happy. So this type of thing. So yeah, that's my sort of view on this.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, players are also look. You need to know also players not happy. If players wouldn't be happy, they wouldn't pay, and obviously players pay, so they are happy. Players always complain and rant, but don't forget that players are happy. Aion 2 is still in the ranking list of popularity half year after launch within 10 top games in Korea, which is crazy. They are still earning money. Now popularity, that's normal. Number of players and popularity after half year goes down, but now season 4 is coming. Many news, many things, they're going to hype up everything again. So I think it's not only that game have succeed monetization wise, right? Because definitely it did. Players are playing the game. Players are playing the game, and I think we can be satisfied overall what we have seen so far in the last half year. Like you said, Aion 2 is definitely now pulling up NCSoft. I don't know what would happen with NCSoft with this Aion 2 release. Definitely not really good things, but now everything is looking much more better for NCSoft. And NCSoft can now revive as a company because of Aion 2. And just to add, you didn't mention one game, very important to mention, Lineage Classic. Lineage Classic,
my bad.
last turning release, it's okay, yeah. Lineage Classic, beside Aion 2, have really contributed to big earnings. I can play Lineage Classic. Yeah, it's really Lineage Classic. It's looking like game 20 years old and everything. I have put videos on my YouTube channel. They're having more views than Aion 2 videos. Some of the Lineage Classic video, which is crazy to me, but okay. And people are very interested in it, and it's a big success also over there on servers in Korea. So Lineage Classic and Aion 2 did pull up definitely right NC and now we need to hope for the best. Like we are showing here, September is here for launch of the game. What is going to happen, we can only guess, right? But I think we should be optimistic. There is definitely things which you should talk about, right? Analyze. Not everything is like, perfect. Definitely, it's not everything, that. There is room for improvement on different fields. However, overall looking, and I'm saying that very often. You know why? I like to say on my streams, usually when you know how it is, you always have some people who
Yeah.
come to provoke and stuff. Then when people come, I usually like to say, hey man, Aion 2 is the best new MMORPG in the last 5 years. And I like to say that, you know why? Because they cannot counter me. You really didn't get better MMORPG in the last 5 years. We did get many MMORPGs, but regarding quality of the game, since Lost Ark have launched, that was February of 2022, and since New World, that was end of 2021, basically, right?
Yeah.
That was September, as I remember. Basically, that's like 4.5, 5 years. We really didn't get game of this quality. Now, regarding features of the game, PvP, PvE, pay to win, we can talk about that. But when we talk
Oh, we
about
will.
quality
We
of the
will.
game, we will, right? But when we talk about overall quality of the game, that's not debatable.
I would
Quality of the game is there, and that's it, right?
I would
Is
even
there?
say that this, unfortunately, it's almost as if Ion 2 was Enter and Liberty were like the last two big MMOs to even come out the last few years because there was a
Yes.
noticeable drought. A lot of MMOs got cancelled. Unfortunately, for New World players, New World also got shut down. And what makes it even more painful is the fact that they actually saw an uptake of players since the new release. And actually, that got me to play New World because I was really liking what the roadmap looked like, but I
Yeah.
wasn't as experienced with AGS, so I paid the price, literally $60, and couldn't get my refund. But that's another topic.
Yeah.
We already sort of touched upon the fact that the game has been out for 7 or 8 months. What was your experience like? How would you determine yourself as a player? Where do you sit, casual, semi-casual, hardcore, and how does the Ion 2 loop fit with you personally as that type of player? Where does that sit?
Yeah. I think that's actually a really good question because look, if you want to create successful MMORPG in 2026, we are talking now, right? We're not talking about 20 years
Hmm.
ago. We are talking today. You need to cater. You need to cater on the both side of the spectrum. So you need to cater definitely whales. You need to cater people who are hardcore and whaling. You need to also cater people who are free to play and also possibly, hardcore. You can have free to play player playing hardcore but without money. And you need to cater casual players, average players, somewhere in the middle. Now, I think one of the main reasons why Zion 2 so successful and why it will be successful on the global market is ironically, kind of funny that Ion 2 actually is giving you opportunity. Ion 2 is respecting your time, but not only your time, it's respecting your money, if you know what I mean. So that means actually, I think they have catered very good on one side. Let's say we can say there are two types of the players. There is a player who have money, who wants to spend money in the MMORPG, and players who doesn't have money or don't want to spend money in MMORPG. For both of these types of the players,
I want to quickly
Ion
interrupt
2
you
is
here
perfect. It's a perfect thing. Yes.
before we can determine whether Ion 2 respects your time. I feel like we should first sort of define what are some of the characteristics of an MMO that respects a player's time, because obviously people have different definitions for that and also for pay to win, monetization, etc. But
Yeah.
again, from your point of view, because you're giving that definition, what in your view constitutes an MMO that respects your time? What does it have to do for you to go and say, okay, this game respects my time?
Okay, I will say that, but I need to. I think that correct question should be also. It's very. I mean, it's a good question. Like,
Mm.
is Aion 2 actually respecting your time? And if yes, how does he doing that? I think that we should add to this question. I'm not even joking. Is Aion 2 respecting your money? But some people would say, "No, come on, you're joking." I'm not joking here because look, as you need to, you need to have like realistic perspective. Look, even that there are people who are having more time to play the game. There is lots of the people, especially our generation. I am older than you, obviously, but my generation, even you, right? You're working. We have, man. You're working. I know for sure. I don't need to ask you now. The most lacking things which you don't have is time. You have more money than time. So when you want to enjoy an MMORPG, you're going to willingly to pay something because you don't have time, but you have money. Now, maybe younger players, younger generational players, maybe they don't have money, but they have more time. But there is many people who are willing to spend time and money in the game, and you need to give opportunity for both of the type of the people, right? That is important to note. People who, so who are you going to say, who are you to say to people who want to spend money in Aion 2 to say, no, you cannot spend money? So somebody want to spend, let's say 5K, and you're going to say to that person, sorry, no, you cannot spend 5K in the game, you need to play the game 10 hours per day. And that person will say to you, come on, man, I need to work 10 hours per day. And when I finish my work, I have money to pay, right? So who are you to do that? And I think Aion 2 is doing great job in exactly that. People who wants to spend money, they can spend money. People who wants to play the game without spending money, they can do that. And now we are coming to that part of the segment, right, which you said, respecting your time.
Yeah.
I think honestly here, situation from my experience here, what I can play, and I know that you can play also a lot. You are playing here right now, game on servers in Korea and Taiwan. I think if you buy a subs, which is currently let's say $20-$30 per month, let's not go nitpicking, and it's not $500 per month, it's not $200 per month, it's 27 euros per month. Let's say $30 per month. If you
I've
spend
actually done
$30 per month,
sorry for interrupting. I've actually done the
yes,
calculation.
yes,
It's around 32 point something, $33 for the combined sub. So yeah, that's I just.
yeah.
But anyway,
So that's the price. So if you spend that money monthly, if you're willing to spend, and again, I'm living in Croatia. I'm not living in some good economy. Also, inflation is crazy here and everything. But even for Croatia here, like in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong. Like not everybody's having great situation. I know that South America over there, Brazil over there also. I think Greece. I know many
I
countries
mean,
are
the world
even
is
worse than Croatia
experiencing a sort of, I mean, it's a cost
overall.
of cost of living crisis. It's unfortunately
Exactly.
gaming that
Yeah.
was supposed to be a hobby accessible to all, or at least I would love for it to be like this. It became almost like a hobby for selected few, not only because of games becoming more expensive, not only because unfortunately the genre we like MMOs is becoming more expensive in a way, but also
Exactly.
the hardware needed to play those games is also becoming more expensive.
Definitely.
So it's becoming very like difficult to be even a PC gamer right now because you only have so many games
Correct.
to play and not always the hardware. Maybe that's one of the reasons why so many companies are also turning to mobile as well because everyone has
Correct.
phones, don't they? And before
Exactly.
I just
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
answer to a question from chat, which is a brilliant question. Tenbri
Yeah.
says, why do you think the global launch was 9 months later than the Korean release? Isn't that too long for people who played to lose interest in the game to come back? I have two explanations for this. One is more obvious than the second one.
Yeah.
First, is obviously it came at a point where NCSoft stocks were hitting a significant low, and they needed to launch something that would restore faith in the company from the perspective of the shareholders. Additionally, obviously the game when it released, it was rushed. There were key features that you would see in an MMO that were not available on release. Simple UI fixes, even the ability to see your weapon on the back of your character was not available at the beginning of the game. Certain
Exactly.
optimization issues, system issues. What
Exactly.
it felt like a beta in early access, and that's why a lot of Taiwanese and Korean players, or at least what I can see from the forums or YouTube comments, got a bit upset as well when Global announced that it won't be coming to mobile and it's going to be PC exclusive, at least on release. And they said, thank you, NCSoft, for using us as guinea pigs for Aion 2, you know. And the
Yeah.
other thing is, so again, it was a testing route. for Aion 2 to then try to push it for the West, because ever since the last years, NCSoft has made genuine efforts to go into the West by also expanding their own studio. So NC West was I should say, NC West was handling the localization of their games in the West. It was a smaller company, smaller studio. And then later that was expanded into NC America. They have new people coming from different publishers and companies like Black Desert. They have the old CEO. I forgot her name, but she brings decades of experience in that regard. They also have
JJ.
people, JJ. They also have people from AGS, some people responsible for the localization of Throne and Liberty. And that's another topic in another discussion, whether that's good news or bad news. I'm personally am happy to an extent, because some of the monetization decisions, not the game decisions, monetization decisions that were made for Throne and Liberty for the West by AGS actually made the game more accessible for free-to-play players. I'm not saying the game was not pay to win, but compared to the initial Korean release, the game Throne Liberty, when it was released in the West, had certain things in place, like battle passes being able to be purchasable with Lucid, which you can farm in game, as opposed to the Korean version that you actually had to hard money. You couldn't farm your way through that, or the fact that they didn't have subscription on release, and that became later. Anyway, not to water down that question, the second part why it's releasing later in globally is, honestly, I feel like it's because trying to milk the game twice. First, you have a fresh start on Korea, Taiwan. That's your main market. That's your biggest earner, at least within your region. They generate profits. They hype up the stocks, right? Then they release that in the West. And because it's a fresh game, currently we're experiencing MMO drought, they're going to get their revenue up again because it's a new game. It's a fresh game. They don't have to worry that much for the first few months. And then the real challenge becomes, how long will that stay? How long are they going to put up the effort with maintaining the game until their next project? Because again, I showed it in the previous podcast as well. In a shareholder meeting, they were explaining how, as part of their plans to expand into the West, they want to use Aion 2 as a vehicle to then launch other games as well. And by that I mean sort of like make good decisions, bring faith back into the company, at least enough to not kill off any potential future releases they want to do in the region. The most recent upcoming one is Horizon Zero Dawn, Steel Frontiers, I think, which is coming sometimes next year. Okay. So this is, I feel like, the two main points why they release later. Now, obviously, us as Western players, we're not really that happy about it because we've already experienced the game. Some people have an advantage by knowing what to focus on early, what to do, what to avoid. Also, it removes that element of discovering things for yourself, which I feel like it's, or at least used to be, a big part of MMOs back in the days before forums and guides and stuff like that. It was you who would discover that little thing and you would share it with your community, and that became some kind of a little inside joke between you guys with trivia and stuff like that. So that as well. Yeah, what's your thoughts, Kruno? Why do you think they release later, or you agree with my statement?
I agree with you. I agree with you. Your analysis is really good. Look, when you ask that question, the only important question is very simple. Is the version of the game which we are going to get globally in September better than version of the game which we can play in November of 2025 when we can get Aion 2 launched in Korea? An answer to that question is very clear and big yes. Because how much did they improve the game in the last half year? You can mention some of the things, right? They can really listen feedback of the community. They can add so many things and wait. You have seen, I don't know, do you have in plan to touch on that topic? We are having next Sunday a big live stream from NCSoft. They are preparing for season 4 of Aion 2. They are again listening feedback of the players. One of the things which I can also suggest, to be honest, I'm really happy about this expansion from party, maximum size of the party from 4 players to 6 players. That's amazing move, and so on. These changes, including probably changes from season 4, will be already implemented in season 1 for global launch. That's crazy. We are going to get much better, like really much better overall experience, maybe even Legion content. Currently regarding guild content, you know that basically what you have UI and you have a Legion Hall. That's it, right? So you don't have anything. Maybe even Legion raids, Legion dungeons, and Legion bosses, guild bosses, right? Legions in Aion 2 are called guilds in Aion 2 are called legions. So we are getting much more polished version of the game. Content-wise, of course, we've already seen we are getting Crowd, Draupnir, for example, Fire Temple. That's normal. For beginning, we're getting basically Season 1 content, which is normal. But regarding quality of life improvements, we are getting much better version of the game. And I think this is amazing because, come on, man, you remember how was game when we have get the game in November of last year, right, in Korea. It was not bad, but this version of the game is really significantly better. So definitely this delay, which we don't like, it's happening. I would just add to this that I believe that it's fine regarding delay. I don't mind delay, but I do mind they should make it shorter. Not like, what will be now delay? 9 months, basically, right?
More than
It'll
9
be
months. Over
That's
10 months. Yeah. Almost a year, like 10 months or so.
But because we are talking about this when we are talking about Guild Wars 3, now everybody talk about, right? Imagine launching Aion 2 globally, let's say 3 to 4 months after Korean launch. Oh my God, that would be crazy because then you still have that hype rolling, right? You're now half year after launch. You and me, we already get sick of playing in Korea and Taiwan. We want to play global version of the game. Most of the people from global regions have already quit playing in Korea and Taiwan. We have already seen all the classes, dungeons, features. We have studied all the stats, this, that. Man, it's, you know what I mean? So I think it's a little bit too big gap between Korean and between global version of the game. It's still a little bit too big gap, same like it was for Throne and Liberty. They should decrease that gap, but then again, look, we can only guess. We don't know what is happening over there in the company. They have their reasons, analytics. We are players. We are consumers, right? We are not developers. We are not part of NCSoft over there. We don't know what is happening. They must have their own reasons why there is gap like it is, right? So it is what it is, right? But definitely we are getting better version of the game. That's important to note, right?
That's the thing. Like looking at the game right now, especially regarding progression, it feels improved. It could still use some improvement, but I'm happy to see that at least they are making those conscious efforts to improve the game. Now, some of the decisions were questionable at the very least, especially with class balance, because that's one of the current, I would say, one of the biggest issues right now. Because in PvE, classes now are finally starting to form some sense of identity when it comes to the Holy Trinity system, tank, DPS, heal. Because originally, tanks would out DPS classes with sort of the same gear. Obviously, ping difference that would impact as well. But now we're seeing improvements, and one of the improvements I was pretty happy about is regarding crafting. At the beginning of the release of Aion 2, we didn't have guaranteed crafting, and now when you go to the crafting menu, there is an option for you to use an item which guarantees crafting, right? So that it doesn't fail. The only caveat is you can only have like up to 3 or 4 guaranteed craftings. I'm not entirely sure. I think it was around 3 per season. And you can't guarantee crafting, obviously, the best in slot accessories and weapons, which are currently the Horned Dragon series of gear. The other, I think, the other more big and more important change they did related to crafting that is going to impact and benefit free-to-play players is the fact that once you craft an accessory, you can use that accessory as material to then guarantee craft the next tier of accessory with keeping the enchantment levels and skills that you've wrote on that. So again, when I saw this, it sort of reminded me a bit of if you've played Blade and Soul with the weapon system, where you sort of feed materials into it and then it goes to the next level. It was sort of similar in that regard. Obviously, different system, but that was the first comparison I did with that. So that when I saw that, I was like, this is pretty cool. Okay, that's really nice. So yeah, these are the 2 most recent changes I would say that we've had, or at least the second one. What some of the recent changes you do think were like the most beneficial for a free-to-play player right now?
alt nerf. Even I think on the first look, it's looking like bad for free-to-play player, right? Because they have nerfed alts significantly, right? Alts gameplay in the last, let's say, month or two, they were really working hard on that, and they did succeed, right? They have already done that. You didn't mention, right? But that, I think it was one of the crucial changes also, which will make our gameplay, I think, more efficient, more less grindy, much less grindy, much less, significantly less. So you remember, man, before this change, just before I talk a little bit more what they should change, you remember when we had that, we were basically having ability that you can do, for example, 5 duty quests per character.
Yeah.
Before the change.
And for those that don't know,
quests.
duties are dailies and weekly quests, sort of, for people that haven't played Aion.
And commander quests. Per week, also per character. In Abyss and in normal region. Wait, what about these ones, right? Duty quests. Now, you can show here, if you want daily dungeon, you can show daily dungeon. So what did we have before? 7 runs per character per week, right? What do we have now in daily dungeon? We have 14 runs per account per week. So we are not talking here.
I think it's per server. I think it's per server, not per account. It's per server, I believe, if I'm not wrong.
But also, your limitation, you have a limit. You have a very significant limitations here. So basically, not only they can make gameplay more efficient, they can make it also much less grindy, definitely less grindy, and they are pushing us more definitely in direction of buying sub. Because with these changes, I mean, for a free-to-play player, it will not be very pleasant to play without the sub. I'm not talking here about some hardcore pay-to-win, right? I'm talking here about just buying subs, which will cost, like you said, like $30 per month. I don't know actually, regarding, that's a topic for another segment, but are we even going to have subs for global? We don't know. It might be we are going to get removed for like Throne and Liberty, you get subs removed. But that's a story for another part. But what you can see here, like you can mention, I think they have done significant changes regarding the game. And overall looking, I think these changes are very good in generally for free-to-play player. There is still one change which they possibly could do. You can show if you want in the shop regarding subs. For free-to-play player, currently problem is that there is a marketplace locked in the sub, right?
Yeah.
Free-to-play players, I mean real free-to-play players, when players who wouldn't like to spend even €1 or $1 ever, right? In Aion 2, for them, this is the biggest problem, that marketplace is locked behind the sub, right? Now, to remove it or not, I want to hear what you think about this topic. Would you remove it or not? But in my opinion, I will tell you something, man. I wouldn't remove it. Like, seriously, I wouldn't. Even that people complain. And not because of bots. Let me explain my attitude here. Not because of bots. For another reason. If they remove marketplace from subsystem, there will be thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of players who will never put even €1 or dollar into the game. And I believe it's not fair, it's absolutely unfair that you play product of this quality without paying ever any money. That's crazy to me. So we are not talking here about some small indie title of low quality or some B production or AA. We are talking here about AAA quality game, right? I believe it's fair enough that you pay $20 or $30 to use that game. That's my opinion, at least.
I would counter you with the following thing. First of all, when the game released, the marketplace wasn't locked for players. Like, people could still use it to make kina, right? They couldn't trade with other players, but they can still use the marketplace and buy stuff from it. So there was less of a limitation to that. My issue with NCSoft is because, especially with the last titles, with their attempt to control botting and illegal RMT, their measures end up punishing the players more rather than the bots themselves, because what do the bot farms do? They still pay the sub, and they probably might increase the price of gold by a small fraction just to cover that extra cost, right? Their accounts might get banned, they just make new accounts, and so on and so forth. Right now, Korea, compared to Taiwan, has a significantly less issue with bots, obviously, because it's much easier to make accounts there. And the measures NCSoft in Korea is taking are, I feel like, much harsher compared to Taiwan, which is one of the things that worries me, because I feel like Taiwan is going to be a good indication of what things might be for global if they take it copy paste to that. Because obviously we know historically NCSoft games in the West have had issues with bots and they haven't found a way to reliably control that. Now, going back to the subsystem, I do not feel that free-to-play players, even by not spending money in that game, that they're not contributing to that game. Because even as a free-to-play player, even if you don't spend a single dollar to support that game, you simply by playing it, you are supporting it. Why? Because you're feeding items, you're feeding items into the economy that people use to progress. They might spend money to buy gold to then buy those items, which still incentivizes buying that. Also, you have community, you have people to play with. Like whales cannot survive in the sea without fish. So in my opinion, I feel like if you're going to market the game as a free-to-play title, you should not punish free-to-play players to this extent, where you have to this pretty much force them to buy a sub to effectively participate in the game's economy. Now, the other thing, I feel like this is why there is so much, I would say, I wouldn't say hate, but like discontent with that, because even in under my past podcast and my videos, I see people complain that, oh, Aion 2 has a sub, I don't want to play the game because it has a sub. And initially I was like, hold on a second, there's other games that have a sub and people are not, are not against paying a sub to then play the game, right? But here it's the sort of perception that they're saying to you, hey, this is a game, you can play it free to play, it's a free to play game. But also, if you really want to play it and if you actually want to play it, please support the company, buy a bunch of subs, help us buy a yacht, and then so on and so forth. I feel like over the last few years, players have shown that they're not reluctant to pay money to support the game they're happy with. So it's not the case of, if a game is good enough, whatever they sort of throw at you to, in an effort to support it, if the player is happy, they're going to spend the money as long as they don't feel like it is punishing them for doing so. This is going to touch upon our subject for monetization a bit later because it's towards the end of the podcast. However, I wanted to touch upon certain things regarding the grind loop and how does it feel now that you've played the game for 8 months. I'm assuming, and I don't want to sort of project things, but I feel like you're more on the casual side of players, in the sense of like you're someone that has a full-time job, you're also doing content, so that takes away from your time. So realistically, you have a few hours of playing Aion 2, correct? So you would be in that sort of casual side. I consider myself to be a semi hardcore player, not too much, but I try, although I don't have the time. And obviously, in my previous podcast, we had someone like Madsen, which some people of you know. He's, I would consider, a hardcore player. And that's why with this podcast, I'm trying to invite different people with different perspectives of the different play styles as well, for us to gather more of an, or at least give people a wider understanding of, is that game does it fit their specific play style? If so, what are the limitations? What do they have to do in order to surpass those limitations, as well as can't even enjoy the game? Now that you've played the game for 8 months, what's your daily grind loop look like? What are some of the content you enjoy? What is some you don't enjoy? And is there something you wish for them to change to sort of accommodate your play style as a casual player?
Before I answer to your question, just to add something, that is actually pretty good perspective. You have said regarding free-to-play players when you're talking about the marketplace, right? Behind the sub, you said that free-to-play players are contributing to the game. Absolutely, that's a very good perspective. I like that. It's totally correct that they are contributing to the game by their presence, basically. Like I said, who are whales going to kill, defeat, if not the free-to-play players, casual, average, whatever? Okay, that is true. I agree with you. They are contributing also to economy, right, by farming things in game. I feel that's not enough. Like I know it will sound a little bit rough. I think it's not fair. Look, again, I'm repeating, it's very important to understand this is not some pay to win AI mobile slop. This is not some B production title. This is triple A quality game which we are getting once every 5 years. Probably like seriously, every 5 years we get once. I feel it's fair enough. It feels like just feels wrong. That feels like somebody brings you the best car possible, give you a free car, and said, "Hey man, drive this car. You get it for free, $1 million car. You never need to put fuel in this car your whole life. You can drive this car for free." Would you feel a little bit awkward, like saying, "Okay, great. Oh my God, give me that car, right? No fuel all my life." But wait, wouldn't you feel a little bit awkward? Maybe you would like to say to that person, "Thank you," in some way, or some, right? That's the same feeling. This is that amazing car of AAA quality. This is $1 million car. And to use that car without the fuel forever, bro, that doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. At least not for me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people would do that anyway, right? Just like you said, without contribution. But for me, no. I think it is like you said. It wouldn't be fair when subs would cost $200 per month or $100 per month, right? It's like, hey, you have to pay $100, $200 per month, right? Come on, that's really milking, right, and stuff. But if so, we can talk about that. We're not going now into inflation and stuff talks, but we are talking here about probably $20, $30, maybe cheaper for global. I don't know, between $20 and $30 per month. If they keep this price range, make it a little bit cheaper, make it one sub. I think it's only fair that for pleasure of playing this game for a month, not more. I'm not saying again about thousands of dollars or hundreds, just to pay $20 or $30 per month. What can you buy now for $20, $30 in today's economy? If you go with your friends on the drink this evening, if you go in a pub, how much you're going to play? How much you're going to pay one round of drinks? If you go with your girlfriend in a restaurant or in the movies, how much you're going to spend that money this evening? How much? What is 20 for? So I think this is ridiculous, right? So that we even talk about this. But that's my opinion. That's my opinion, right? I know that many of you will not agree. That's my opinion, right? So anyway, let's go for wait.
Well, I just wanted to ask Kruno, are you on a payroll by NC by any chance?
No, but seriously, right? Yeah. So anyway, wait, what is happening over here?
No,
wait,
it's we have some newcomers as well.
I have some. On my chat, they are arguing a little bit about that. Guys, relax over there on my chat. Everything is fine. We are chilling. Now we are getting a little bit. Monetization topic is always chilling.
It's fine.
But now let's. You were asking me about. What is my grind loop as a player, and do I feel pleasant? What I feel good playing about, and in endgame regarding loop for my type of the playing the game. So you are mentioning here mad scene. Definitely, I'm not going to play like mad scene. At least we are going to play at launch hardcore, but later definitely not. I need to go back to work and everything. And in generally, what is happening here? I think that Aion 2, they have got a big difference, for example, from Throne and Liberty. Why they have done concept of the game very good in endgame of Aion 2? That you are determining your own schedule. Most of the thing, what we have currently daily, what we have currently daily, duties, per one character, 5. That's the only real daily thing. Almost everything else is weekly. When we talk about dungeons, when we talk about whatever, single player dungeons, party dungeons, transcendent dungeons, you have boss skill count for 28 for transcendence, 35 for conquest, and stuff like that, right? Now, I think they have done really nicely in-game loop and in general gameplay of Aion 2, they have done really nicely. Why? Because this is the game that not only respects your time, this is the game which is giving you freedom that you play whenever you want, whatever you want. So if you don't feel that day playing party dungeons, right? You can play solo dungeons. Did you lose anything? Not really, because you can play party dungeons tomorrow. It's important that you finish 35 kills per week. For example, in Conquest, right? In Transcendence, we have 28 boss kills, right, per week. You are now showcasing here this right part of Nightmare. You are free to play whenever you want this. There is no schedule. Like, hey, you need to be this evening at 7 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., afternoon. Nothing like that. So I think regarding overall, I think one of the highlights of Aion 2, usually people talk about pay to win. Of course, I'm a little bit joking. Even that they have done good, by the way. But one of the highlights of the game, beside beautiful graphic design, beside lots of content to play, PvP wise, PvE wise, more PvE than PvP, but that's a story for another part. I think one of the highlights of this game, what you are asking, this is in Endgame regarding things which you are doing. I'm enjoying in everything what I do. But you know why am I enjoying in everything what I do? Because I have that freedom that I do it when I want. I'm not going to be forced like in Throne and Liberty. Hey man, you have CTA. You remember many of you on the chat here. You remember you have call to arms from the guild in 3 p.m. Then you have Rivestone. Then you have Boost on 5 p.m., 7 p.m. Then you have a World Boss PvP in 11 p.m. Like what? I mean, are they kidding me? Game is determining your life. No. In Aion 2, you are determining the schedule. You are the boss. And I think that on that way, this is so good, right? That you can determine if you want to go crafting this evening, play dungeons, solo dungeons, party dungeons, PvP, maybe in Abyss, you want to jump in. That's perfect. So I'm enjoying all the time playing Aion 2 because why? I am the boss. If you get what is my point? I am the boss, not the game. If the game is the boss, we have a problem. That game doesn't have a good concept. And that is one of the reasons, again, topic for another thing, why Throne and Liberty. Throne and Liberty didn't fail because of pay to win. Neither will Aion 2 fail because of pay to win. Games are not failing because of that. Throne and Liberty have failed because of wrong game design. You cannot have a game. Throne and Liberty was perfect for hardcore guilds for a certain amount of time. You cannot maintain that tempo for a year or two. You can play that game on that way a month or 2 or 3 or 4, but not longer, right? So I think Aion 2 really in Endgame is giving you that freedom, which is amazing, refreshing, really cool, right? So that's my attitude towards this thing. So, I would like to hear what you think about this.
So a few things, because we have a few people from TNO, and because, I feel like quite a few people tried it at least. One thing I liked about TNO, and those timed events that you sort of didn't like, but that was because they were timed, not because of the type of events, is TNL had so many open world activity, the dynamic events, the PvP open world events. They had some PvE events. They had the Riftstone, Boomstone, and the open world bosses, and that made the world feel alive. Because right now, one of my biggest gripes with Aion 2, although it's a beautiful game, like I feel like it's one of the most beautiful MMOs currently on the market. Outside of doing your daily quests, duties, and weeklies, there is very little reason to go outside in the open world and do something and explore. Sure, you have your keys to open cubes with some rewards. But outside of that, not really. At the beginning, the first few weeks, we had at least open world PvP, where you can at least try to find people farming pets in the open world. But now we have PvP flag system, at least on these maps. Season 4, if the rumors are true, the new map is going to be open world PvP. Okay. And from the perspective of PvE focused on the players, because they're trying to promote this game as a PvE only game, right? One of the reasons why they even implemented a flag PvP system was because unintentionally, or technically intentionally, but they, I guess, didn't have the foresight to, to see this as a problem, as they've put progression into a PvP zone, meaning when you're an Asmodean, as part of your leveling up, you do sealed dungeons and strongholds, which give you materials and extra stat points, etc., etc. But in order to fully complete your leveling arc, you have to do the same dungeons, or like similar type of dungeons, on the enemy territory. And early on, people were being farmed like mobs, and there was people ganking them and stuff like that. So people were complaining. And because, again, this was promoted as a PvE-focused game, but then it cornered people into experiencing PvP to progress. NCSoft did the decision to sort of remove the Rift open world PvP. It's still in the game, but there is no currently incentives for people to flag for PvP. If you want to do PvP, your options are the Abyss, Lower abyss is a flight zone. Middle abyss is a ground zone. So you have ground PvP. Obviously, you have your arenas, battlegrounds, but that's less popular game model. Personally, the grind loop, at least in Aion 2, consists of, again, like you said, doing your daily conquest, your normal dungeons for Kina, some loot materials.
Correct.
You have your raids, which you do up to like, I don't know how many times, like 4 times attempt count. So yeah, 4 times. That gives you extra rewards, obviously raid loot. You have your daily, I don't know why they call them daily. I guess because at the beginning we had 7 entries per character, and technically it's per week per character, and it's like 1 per day, but you can obviously do 14 in a day. And then,
but they're weekly. Basically, they're weekly dungeons. They're not daily.
You have your, I would say, almost like challenge dungeons, Transcendence, which, I mean, they just have different stages of progression. The final stage it's more challenging and it has different mechanics. You have your Nightmare dungeon, which is your solo challenge dungeon with different levels, and you gain points which you can then use to buy statues for extra stats or skins or whatever. Then you have your Ascension Tra, which is again a solo dungeon that rewards enchantment stones, stigma shards, mana stones, skina. We used to have another separate dungeon for enchantment stones, which was called, initially it was Dredgen, but it wasn't like Dredgen like Aion 1 people know it in the sense of a PvP zone. But because
subjugation,
subjugation. I honestly, I think it was subjugation. Yes, even, but it added to the sort of clutter of daily activity you had to do, and that's why they sort of combined Ascension Trials and subjugations. They've just they've combined the loop basically, right? And then once you run out of energy, the things you can do is you go to the abyss and you farm mobs or you PvP with players to gain AP and Kina. One of the things to mention is in the abyss, at least for now, there is no Kina cap. And once you hit the Kina cap in the open world in a trail, for example, or once you run out of energy and you still want Kina, it's not as efficient method to farm Kina, but it is a method, at least while you still have time, because the abyss is timed. And obviously, while you do your dailies in the abyss, you can get a stone that increases the time you can spend the abyss, but still, timed content. So I am not so much against the energy system, because every MMO has a way to reduce the amount of grind you can do per week, whether it's through weekly entries of that dungeon, whether it's through, it can give you an unlimited amount of entry to a dungeon, but then they lower the drop rate so that they can sort of control the progression pace, like they did with Blade and Soul. Because in Blade and Soul, you had unlimited entries for a dungeon, but you had to do like 200 or 300 runs on average to get your item or costume or whatever. That's another system. The issue with Aion 2, in my opinion, is not so much the Odao energy, which fair enough, is the fact that we also have tickets, and it's not just entry tickets, it's 2 types of tickets. One was added later because people were selling carry runs to pretty much complete Transcendence and boost characters for real money. Obviously, NCSoft didn't like that, so what they added was like a final boss count for that specific dungeon. So your character can do only 28 runs per week of that specific dungeon before you cannot run it, even if you have, I think, if you have the reward count but you don't have the boss kill count, you still can't do it. The other ticket which we have is the reward count, which basically means if you don't have the reward count, you cannot even do the dungeon. So the reward count is lower than the final boss kill count, because you can still get through Kina. If you have the sub, you can extend the amount of dungeons you can buy, because like I'll show you in the shop, if you have one of the subs or the combined sub, whatever, it gives you access to a shop that uses Kina, which is the in-game gold, to then buy extra dungeon runs or tickets to do more dungeons, right? So if you have the sub, you can use the in-game gold to then buy those runs, right? But my issue with that is, if let's say, for example, I don't need any of the loot here, for example, I don't need anything from there, and I only need to do Transcendence to finish my Deva boards, for example, and I want to finish my Arcanas, and I want to spend a week in there, right? Because this is the dungeon I need the most. I cannot realistically do that because I'm limited by the tickets. Now, what NCSoft did to combat sort of making old dungeons obsolete, they added reusability to certain items. For example, dungeons give you feathers. Once you collect enough feathers, you can then morph them into wings that give you, extra stats, and you add it to the collection, so on and so forth. But now you can use those feathers because once you morph the wings, right, you can either morph them again and sell them, which it's not always valuable because it costs radiant or DAO, and that sometimes is more expensive than morphing the wings, etc. They've added a system where you can morph those feathers into enchantment stoves to then at least boost your progression. So even if you don't need something from these dungeons, you're getting something else that you can then put into a progression. Another example for such a change is to the Sing Stones. For those of you that don't know what Sing Stones are, Aion 2 has a very similar gear system to Throne and Liberty, where you have traits, or in our case, soul binds. And when you drop an item in a dungeon, that is with random stats, and then you either sacrifice other gear parts to then roll the stat you need, although it's RNG, or you can morph Sing Stones, which do the exact same thing. It's just that it's an alternative, right? And you get those by completing dungeons, right? So what they've done is you can now use Sing Stones to then enchant your wings for obviously extra stats, right? So again, if you don't need Sing Stones anymore, etc., you can then use that piece of material into something else that would benefit your character. Because at the moment there is so much things to do in the game, and I don't mean that necessarily as a bad thing, because one of the worst things you can do in a game is to run out of things to do, outside of obviously some player-driven content like PvP or some events and stuff like that. That's perfectly fine. But especially because Aion 2 is a theme park MMO, once you run out of things to grind for or do, it's sort of the fun factor sort of drops down, right? Because then you're left with PvP, but not everyone is a fan of PvP, and PvP is kind of in a interesting spot where they've increased the time to kill, but class balance is still an issue. So that's another thing, which I know I've been yapping a lot, but this actually touches upon a topic I've outlined for today's conversation, is how the game has been out for around 8 months. And one of the things that determines whether a game has longevity is how low are the barriers of entry for new players once the game has past the 6-month mark or a 1-year mark, etc. Example for Guild Wars, because of the horizontal progression, you can stop playing the game, you can come back to it at any time, and you're just as relevant. Or you have to do very little things to catch up to people that have played. Sure, you can fire achievements and get your quality of life perks and stuff like that. That's fine. But in Aion 2, obviously, there's so many things to do. Grind, enchant, do your boards, level up your pets, sort out your genius inside, level up your arcanas, get the correct set of arcanas, enchant those. Then last but not least, now the newest system with the wings, etc. Obviously, we are not going to get all of this, or at least I'm assuming we're not going to get all of this on release because it's going to be too overwhelming.
Yeah, for sure.
However, how do you feel the game currently caters, or it doesn't cater for returning or new players? Because I have a few observations on that, some issues that I already noted, but I just want to hear your perspective as someone that's, has leveled multiple characters. What are some of the barriers you have experienced right now, or you see as potential barriers for new players? Like, what are some of the let's say, or let me rephrase my question, sorry, I think I'm just convoluting a rather simple question, at least to ask. Let's say you start Aion 2 right now on Taiwan and Korea, 8 months after release. How easy do you think it is, with the current systems in place, for a new player to reach a point where they can participate in the game's endgame grind loop? I wouldn't say competitively, because that would be idiotic for me to say, but at least on a level where they don't feel like struggling and they can at least enjoy the game.
I think that you are 1 week early with this question. So wait 1 week and ask this question again. Why?
Season 4 preview.
In the recent conversation, definitely, we are getting on June 14. That's exactly 1 week from right now when we talk. They were getting big new event, right, from NCSoft in Korea. And we know that season 4 is coming. And we also know they had that event in Cafe. They had that a real life, right, talk with players. And one of the topics was actually what you are mentioning now. And they were mentioning very specifically servers which are not going to be only test servers, but catch up servers. So that basically means hyperboost. We know hyperboost concept from Throne and Liberty. And I think your question is in place, but not now. Because we are now in really bad spot. We are now on the end of the season 3, beginning of the season 4, right? And these things which you are now mentioning, catch-up mechanics, maybe throughout Hyperboost server, maybe throughout some in-game events, you never know, right, what they're going to do. I think we're going to find out on June 14. I believe they're going to really now change what they want, and they're going to make changes necessary for season 4 that new players or returning players, they can catch up. I think that we're going to get Hyperboost servers. Definitely, I'm like 99% certain we are going to get Hyperboost. If not Hyperboost, there will be several events which will be rewarding regarding gear, enhancement materials, stuff like that, which will make possible for new player or returning player to catch at least to some point, right? Not entirely, obviously. That's not possible. And wait, on the other side, on the other side, not only that, I mean, of course, I do understand your perspective that new players should be able to jump in a game and join the game in full capacity and try to catch up in, I mean, in ranking list, we have reset it every season, right? Ranking list, we are, however, on the other side, when you look at it a little bit, would it be really fair that a new player will be equalized with me, who is playing the game half year or 8 months, in just few weeks? Hey, he have the same things which I'm playing 8 months. No, that would feel very, very bad for me, right? What am I doing for 8 months? What's the point of me? Wait, what's the point of me grinding for 8 months if a new player can jump in the game and be equalized with me? Not equalized entirely, obviously, but almost equalized with me. Then why do I even do that? What's the point? Then I can delete my account, make a new account. Here we go. Like I didn't play 8 months. So they know about this balance, right? Obviously, they don't want to hurt feelings of the people who have invested either money, either time, either both, right? There are people who can put money in the game, people who can put time in the game, and now you have a new player coming who is going to catch up on them. Why did they put money in the game? Why did they put time in the game? It's ridiculous from that perspective, right? On the other side, definitely new players should have opportunity to catch up, right? Not entirely, but to definitely catch up. And I think there is a good opportunity in that in Hyperboost servers and in-game events, which can provide without any reset in the game. Reset would definitely not be good. Soft reset, hard reset, any kind of reset would not be good, because again, you're diminishing achievements and effort of the players who are playing this game from the start, which is ridiculous, right? Money wise, time wise, it doesn't matter. Did you put 5k 10k in the game, or did you put 10 hours per day in the game, right? It wouldn't be fair for these players, right? So I believe they're going to have solution, but you are a little bit too early with this question. Question is great, topic is great. June 14, and I hope you're going to have podcast also together this time on my stream also, right? That we are going to talk again about in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Let's do it after absolutely new event. But then you're going to, I think then we are going to see clearly answer to your question. I think NCSoft will answer to your question. I think definitely they're going to take care that new players have some chance definitely to jump in the game, and returning players, and even casual players who have left behind, because there are many players. I mean, currently I'm not putting too much effort over there on servers in Korea and Taiwan, but definitely it will be nice for me to catch up a little bit with gear score and combat power, be getting some free goodies and stuff, right? So that's possible throughout a few different mechanics. Is it going to be hyper boost? Is it going to be some in-game events which are going to boost you? I'm not sure, but whatever they do, definitely they should do with seriously taking care again that they don't diminish, they don't hurt feelings of the people who did either invest time, lots of hours in the game already, or money or both, and now just new player catch them. That sounds ridiculous also from, so we need to also look that perspective. But I think they're going to do that on proper way. I don't, I'm not that much concerned about that part of the equation. I think it will be fine regarding that. Yeah. What do you think, man, about this?
Um, I'm asking this question because I wanted to sort of discuss what are some of the things
Yeah.
they've done so far. Because we actually had a player who was through my chat. He started playing the game, and that also touches upon like how much power you can buy early on to progress, and then some of the most even whales hit that they cannot just power through with money. But I was just trying to make sure I'm being consistent and coherent with the sort of flow of the call because I don't want to jump between too much topics. But I wanted to just say that, for example, one of the few catch-up mechanics we've had so far was we had a Kina pass, which was in-game gold that would allow people to get Arcana set. That would boost their combat power to then participate in dungeons and stuff like that. The reason why they had to do this is because those particular arcanas come from like the first few dungeons that people didn't really do, the first few transcendences, and it was difficult for people to find groups. And if you were a fresh player, just starting the game, has no clue what they're doing, and they come here and they try to make a group. Even now you can see like there's like one person here because no one really does this content because people farm,
Yeah, exactly.
submerge, etc., etc.
Higher tier.
Yeah. So that's the one thing they've done. And then they added like a growth support event where they would give you an enchanted gear to plus 10 with some weapons and some materials like enchantment stone, stuff like that, so on and so forth. Was for one character, or like if it's your main character, then that's fine. That would boost you to enough level to then do dungeons like Ferocious or even Dramata, etc., etc. So, they've made some attempts to that. And then regarding catch-up mechanics, this even we have regular conversation about this, is it's a very fine line to create a system where it feels, how do I say, rewarding enough for a new player that it pushes them to a point where they can enjoy the game with other people that are at that level. Because let's be honest, most MMOs,
Yeah.
especially newer MMOs that push you towards endgame, where the actual monetization is, the lower content is dead content and people just quest through it or they avoid it. So at
Yes.
least to boost you to a point where you can take part of those early dungeons or raids with other people so you can take fun in the game. But the other thing is not reward you with things that will make a veteran player go like, why did I spend the last 2 months farming this specific legendary item which you're then now giving through an event for free to a new player? It takes it the veteran would feel almost like robbed for their efforts because they might have even spent money in a way to either enchant, boost, obtain it through dungeon extra runs, whatnot, and now all of a sudden you're getting it for free, right? So there, I feel like the game itself has to be designed, whichever game, has to be designed in such a way that there is, I don't know if is it a mentorship sort of system where veteran players are incentivized
Yeah.
to do older content with new players to then get perks, skins, boosts, whichever. What if you have a mentorship program where if you play with newer players, maybe you get an extra dungeon runs or extra tickets for it, for example. I don't know. Things like that. So that's my 2 cents. For me personally, one of the things I'm looking forward to, especially like you just mentioned, is the season 4 roadmap. A
Yes.
lot of I hope it's not mistranslations, and I hope it's true what they're saying. I know in the last dev stream they've already said that some of the Q&A translations were wrong and misleading, but like I have so much hope and hope for season 4 because not only because it's bringing new zones, Elton and Morheim, which based on the client leaks, at least the maps look quite interesting. You have a new level cap.
Yeah.
With the new level cap, I'm assuming there's gonna be new skills. And in the game, they've already increased the number of stigmas we can use, meaning number of skills. Initially, we could only use 4 additional skills. Now we can use 5. And later, they changed
Exactly.
the number of keybinds we can have. They've expanded this, which to me would suggest that at some point down the line, we would also maybe potentially, hypothetically, hopefully, maybe, who knows? I really hope so. We will be able to use more than 5, maybe 8 at max. But obviously, extra skills means extra balancing, so on and so forth. One of the things they've mentioned is story for the dungeons, because right now, once you complete the the campaign quests. There is not really any story in the game. Like every patch you get a new dungeon, and okay, why should I do Shattered Arcanis? What's the story behind it? How does this boss fit into the world of Atrea? Because in Aion 1, every boss, every raid, every dungeon had its story, and it had a way the game to sort of show you the story, show you what the importance of that and how does that fit into the larger lore, so on and so forth. This is one thing they're addressing. They promised new how do I say it? Life skills? Yeah, life skills. They mentioned fishing. Now we can extract already fish like fishes. So I don't know if it's mistranslation, etc. etc. Legion content, Legion bosses, Legion missions. This is another thing because right now legions are nothing but an additional friend list, because there isn't like outside of Abyss artifacts, there's nothing really you can team up with your. I mean, you can do dungeons and raids, etc. Of course, but it's not guild specific. You can do that with everyone, really, right? So for me personally, the way they handle season 4, which is the first expansion of Aion to like a massive, we're talking Telandre, we're talking even the current new patch in TNL, the next one. This is the proper first big maps, potential new class, fighters, gauntlets, a big hope there. But again, for me, that's gonna give me an understanding whether is there something forward to look, further down the line, or is it like, okay, I've seen enough, I've played the game for a year or two, time to move on to something else, right? So,
there is nothing to move to. There is nothing to move. What are you going to move to, man? I mean, we can move, like, let's say that you are really into this moving from MMORPG to MMORPG. You could move potentially to Guild Wars 3, like we have said, 2028, 2029. That's far away. Chrono Odyssey, end
next
of 2027. Year. So even
wait, even it's end of 2027. Like they've delayed it to 2027. End of it, isn't it Q1, Q2?
Yeah. It's not, but I think it's not going to be Q1. I'm just guessing.
Okay.
So even when you would want to play something, you cannot move to anything. I mean, there are many games coming. Don't get me wrong, but something really good, no. And you could go to some older game, but I guess same like me, you don't want to go play now Lost Ark or BDO or whatever, right? So there is nothing to move to, so we are stick with you like it or not, we are stick with Aion too, but we are good. I think we are going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Just to say one thing, when you were explaining, you know what, I have noticed something now. Like 10 minutes ago, you were explaining different kind of systems. You were explaining dungeons, energy, boss skill counts, entries, tickets. You were explaining that. I'm playing this game basically. We are playing at the same time. We have started to play since launch, right? And we know about the game. We know about... Man, when you were explaining that, I was starting to get confused. I mean, I knew, I know these things which you were saying. But man, when you were saying this, it's too complex. They need to do something about this. This is too much. You have energy, you have tickets, you have boss skill counts, you have rewards. Oh my God. It's too much. They need to simplify. Whatever they want to do, they need to simplify this system regarding entry and rewards, right? In Transcendence and Conquest dungeons, whatever they do, because this is too complicated now. Like seriously, when you were explaining that, I was like, hey man, I mean, it sounds really complicated, right? Because you have so many different systems which are influencing. So I think they need to simplify that, just to add this when you were for a new player, man, who have never played Aion 2. That thing which you were saying in that 10 minutes, that person will say, oh, what is this, man? You need to be a rocket scientist to calculate what I'm going to play, when I'm going to play. This is, so definitely they should simplify something, right?
For me, if they want to simplify something, it's not so much related to dungeon entries and stuff like that. But I feel like, for example, there is way too many stats in the game. Some of them are just like... how do I say? It's just like filler stats. That's some don't really apply to your day-to-day sort of PvP or even dungeon PvP or whatnot. But like you have water boost, fire boost, wind boost, attribute. Like what is the fuck is this shit, right? Pardon my French. Then you have like these are all the stats you have in a game. They interact in a different way. And when you show this to a player, Like this is like, okay, what am I saying? Some apply to PvP only, some apply to PvE only, and some are combined, right? And then once of that,
Yeah.
you have, I feel like there is too much RNG in this game, like especially when you reroll stats. To my surprise, because of how similar the system is to Throne and Liberty's trait system. In Throne Liberty, they've added a trait unlock stone, which pretty much guarantees the type of trait you're getting. Why on earth
Exactly.
have we not gotten something like this? We got Think Stones, right? So why don't, for
Yeah.
example, why don't you sacrifice, I don't know, maybe 10 pieces of unique gear, for example, maybe 20, I don't know, something.
Money.
The
Money.
no, Kina, I don't know, something, sacrifice something to craft a stone that would guarantee the slot, right? Because for me, one of the leading causes of burnout in a game is
Yes.
when you're grinding, but you don't see sort of where like the end of it, almost like that myth, the Greek myth about Sisyphus, I believe it was, where you push a rock up the hill and you don't really see the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what RNG is, right? And at some point, like you're pushing there, oh, all of a sudden you're at the top because you got the stat, right? Otherwise, you keep rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. And it's not only here, like it's in the stats, it's in the
Money, man. But that's, I don't know.
no,
I know what you're
one second.
suggesting,
It's
but
the no, it's in the RNG, for example. For the mana stones, we have
yeah.
RNG there as well. Why haven't
Yes.
they, for example, suggestion? Why when you roll, for example, I like having that gold stats as a mana stone, right? Why can't I lock it similar to the Genius Insight? And then the next time I roll, it uses 2 or 3 mana stones or soul stones, whatever. But it preserves my and then and then and then at least you keep rolling. Yes, it's RNG. Yes, it's BTS. Yes, it's still be grindy, but at least you know you've made some progress and you're keeping that progress rather than tapping it again and then, oh shit, I got
Yes.
only bad rolls. For example, right? That's my thing. So the thing is, like, the core game is good, but there are so many small things, and I mean small in the sense of like they're not small, they're important, they're part of the gear progression, but there's so many things that can be significantly improved to I know, I feel less like a chance and more like where you feel your efforts actually matter. Because again, going back to the start of this conversation, we had to define what do we consider to be the defining characteristics of an MMO that respects your time, right? For me personally, it's something that it's clear and it shows. So the amount of effort you spend in the game, it sort of it's proportionate. It shows, right? And that's why in when it comes to pay to progress, when you can pay to boost that progress or overcome certain um, limitations, that's why I feel like
Okay.
so many people feel robbed. Because why do I have to go through this annoyance when someone can just swipe their Mastercard and roll perfect stats from day one? Meanwhile, I have to spend a week or two progressing in the game. Now, sure, MMOs are a marathon. At least, for me, it matters to go from point A to, it's the journey, right? Point A to point B to point C. However, some
Exactly.
people just order an Uber and they go to point C instantaneously while still, obtaining the results and so on and so forth. Um, so again, like chat says right now, trying to compete versus RNG is unfair. And you're not only
Yeah, but that's not
competing.
Aion 2. Just by the way, what you are mentioning now, that's not Aion 2 question. That's question of the most new MMORPGs in the last 15 years, right?
Hmm.
Because what you are saying now regarding RNG and progression, your time and that's not question about Aion 2. That's question regarding most of the new upcoming MMORPGs. But what is your, like, is Aion worth your time? Look, you are asking here. There is something which you need to admit yourself. You know that as a player who can play Aion 2. Why is Aion worth your time? You know what is the real answer to this question? And generally, does Aion respect your time? There is one fact which nobody can't deny. Do you like the game, hate the game? Doesn't matter. You know it, I know it, everybody knows that. It's kind of interesting. They have designed the game on that way that whatever you do in the game, it's transferring into progression of your character. That's kind of funny. And it's amazing that even if you do funny mini games like sugar games
Yeah.
or farming mobs for fragments, wait, let's say just skins and outfits, right?
Yeah.
Closet. You can show that part of the closet where you show, okay, so show games, but you can show that part of the even collecting outfits is increasing power of your character, right? So
we have to
basically,
mention that the skins in the shop don't have
this, yeah,
any, but it's just the in-game ones, right?
influence on this.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, these are free outfits basically which you're getting throughout playing different kind of content to the game. So yeah, I think this is very interesting. So basically, whatever you do in the game, that's kind of interesting how they have designed the game. Whatever direction did you take? Did you take PvP direction? Did you take PvE direction? Do you go play dungeons? Do you go crafting? Do you collect outfits? Whatever you do in the game basically is contributing to power of your character. Some things less, some things more, obviously. You cannot have everything giving you equal power boost. But that is important to note, right? So is it worth your time? And is it, is it worth your time? And is it respecting your time? These are similar questions, not the same. Look, if you're on the end of the day, point of the game, why we play games is for fun, to enjoy, right? To have fun. And it's up to every person to decide, right? Are you having fun in Aion 2 or not? If you are having fun in Aion 2, then it's definitely worth your time because this is a hobby. This is something to enjoy, right? Unless you are doing, if you are playing Aion 2 for money, if you are sponsored or something. But if you are a player, then it's up to you to decide, right? But what I can see from the concept of the game, really how they have done it, definitely regarding progression of your character, regarding power boost, regarding, yeah, absolutely, it is worth the time. And on the end of the day, like we can mention during this podcast, right? Again, that's a broader topic to discuss. There is no any real competition coming soon to Aion 2, not this year at least, next year maybe. There are some games coming later, 2028, 2029, Guild Wars 3, Riot Games, MMORPG, Terra 2. These will be the games to compete with Aion 2. Next year, we are getting Chrono Odyssey, maybe Scars of Honor, maybe Bellatores, maybe Lord of Mysteries. These are also big MMORPGs. However, will they really compete with Aion 2? No, definitely not. So is it worth the time?
Just
Yeah,
to
I think
interrupt
yes.
you there, I
Yes.
don't think Terra 2 and Guild Wars still gonna compete with Ion 2, simply because by that point,
Okay.
if they don't handle the game correctly, the game might not even be on the market in the sense of like as a worthy competitor, because people can just move on to the new games anyway, right? Um,
But
Basically, what I'm
let's
trying
say
to say
they
is it's probably
handle
it's
the
gonna
game
be dead,
correctly.
right? So in case this is
But
like
let's say
worst
if they
case
handle
scenario, yeah,
game correctly. Wait, but if they, let's say for one wild scenario, they handle the game correctly, and Ion 2 is still alive in year and a half, 2 years, let's say year and a half, two, when Guild Wars 3 comes out, it will definitely compete with Ion 2 because people will go to check Guild Wars 3. We are going to check Guild Wars 3, right? And they are going definitely to compete on MMORPG gaming
yeah.
market. If the Ion 2 survive year and a half, and it should survive again, I'm saying why. There is no real competition. There is competition. There is always competition, but there is no AAA quality competition. There is no. Until we get Guild Wars 3, Terra 2, Riot Games, MMORPG, then Ion 2 definitely will suffer, depending how this game will be successful. But wait, also many players don't consider something. Players forget about something, man. We know where we stand with Ion 2. You know where we stand. Ion 2 is a pay-to-win game of AAA quality. It's a good game. Pay to win, but a good game. Regarding Guild Wars 3, man, everybody is now hyping up Guild Wars 3. Everybody's hyped about Riot Games MMORPG. Everybody's hyping about Terra 2. But wait, man, we don't know what kind of games will be Guild Wars 3, Riot Game, or Terra 2. Are they going to be good? How do you know that? We don't know that. We know, but we can conclude from franchise. We can say already now because Riot Games is a company which is producing good games. Are they even able to produce a bad game? I don't know, probably not. Terra 2 could be good. Guild Wars 3 will be probably good, right? But we don't know, are they going to be good? What we do know, however, even with all the issues regarding pay to win and improvements which could be done in Ion 2, Ion 2 is AAA quality game or high quality. It's a great game. Regarding Riot Games, Guild Wars 3, let's talk about in 2 years when we get into beta of Guild Wars 3. Then we're going to see, will people like the combat? Will people like you? Don't forget, Guild Wars 3 will be Unreal Engine 5 game with action combat. We'll see if people like it or not. Then we talk about that. We don't know, right? We know, however, where we stand with Aion 2. So that's my take on that, right? So anyway, let's see. Let's hope for the best, right?
So to circle back to respecting your time and some of the activities and whatnot, and then I'm going to touch upon the Guild Wars 3 thing. Personally, I agree with you in the sense of like every activity in this game is tied in some way to your progression. If you kill a random mob in the open world, you can get a gold item which you can then sell to someone else or use it to reroll stats or use it yourself. You can farm Kina open world, although it's a bit limited, or unlimited in the Abyss, but it takes more time than doing dungeons. You can do dungeons, obviously, and you get materials, craft enchants, items, even collecting skins, like you've said, even the most stupid random skin, it goes to a collection and that gives you incremental stat increases. Modest, but still worthy enough once you collect enough. You have, the Arcana system, which is different type of dungeons, different type of materials, crafting as well. The issue with crafting, though, is again RNG. One of the added elements that I don't like. It's too much RNG, and it was funny to see. I remember Geodity when he was first reviewing Aion 2 when he first started playing. The gathering and the crafting. He was like, "Oh wait, crafting here is RNG. It's not guaranteed." And because I'm used to Aion's type of crafting, I've been playing Aion for like 13 years. For me, it almost became like the default crafting system, although it's not. But I'm so used to this. I was like, oh, hold on a second. Yeah, he's right. Why it's not because I played New World, like it's not random, right? Why is it RNG, right? I mean, it's obvious why it's RNG, but why, it's RNG. We know why it's RNG, but why is it RNG? If I mean what I mean. So yeah, again, even sugar games, even pardon my French, even standing AFK, it recharges your energy, stuff like that. That's fair enough. However, like Kegi said, why does every activity in this game have to give you some kind of stats? I guess because that just adds to the power creep. I guess because again, if you just start if you just start the game, there's so much thing to do on the slide to reach that point where someone has spent 1 year to farm. Which fair enough. That's fine. Some of the stats, like I said, are small, not making that much of a boost. But for example, leveling up your Genos Insight, that's going to take some time. They've already nerfed it, so it's easier now. Much easier, like I would say twice or 3 times as fast compared to release, but still. And for me to answer Kegi that question, why does it have to add stats? I don't know, which is not the answer you want to hear. I'm assuming it's because in a vertical progression MMO, the main incentive to do content is around increasing the power of your character. Okay? For example, if there was an activity for a skin, if you're not a player that's interested in skins and outfits and stuff like that, you most likely are gonna skip that outfit unless it gives you some kind of a benefit outside of just looking cool, right? So in this case, even outfits give you some kind of stats so that people that are not interested in skins at least have to do that. So it's the curse of vertical progression, because on one hand, it incentivizes you to play more. You get that dopamine hit of being stronger, and every time they introduce a new patch, you have that, oh, I need to do this again, get that item, do the gearing again. On the other hand, it feels like you're a prisoner of that game. And not only Aion, to any game that has vertical progression, because the moment you stop, you either have to wait for an event or some kind of catch-up mechanic, or you're pretty much going to spend ages trying to reach a point where other people are not even competing, they're just playing, only to then a new patch to come and then start the whole process all over again. And then I'm saying the sort of funny thing or ironic thing here is, for example, this is one of the things why some people struggle getting into Guild Wars 2, because you have to shift almost your the way you play MMOs, right? Because Guild Wars 2 is more about horizontal progression, side activities, achievements, explorations, collecting outfits, things of that nature. And the game doesn't necessarily tell you, okay, now you have to do that specific dungeon, get that item, and that's your achievement, that's how you progress, right? You have to set your own goals in Guild Wars 2. And a lot of people struggle with that, or at least it takes them some time to change their perspective, right? So again, it's the bane of vertical progression. So I don't know what the solution is. I'm not that smart enough, but if someone knows, please share in chat. I will be happy um, to fix the genre we love, I guess.
I guess there is no solution. Look, what you are saying here, there is no solution which will solve every MMORPG. What Kegi said here, why does every activity in the game needs to contribute to your stats? Because I want to feel that my time in the game is worth spend, right? I mean, I can spend some activity in the game which is not contributing to power of my character, but I would rather feel that I'm actually doing while I'm doing something for fun, that I'm actually also contributing to power of my character, right? So if I want to get some outfit, if I'm collecting outfits, why not that I feel at the same time that I'm actually boosting my character regarding stats, which is actually cool, right? Or when I farm mobs in the open world, collecting fragments or whatever, again, why I don't feel that? So I think that's actually a good idea from developers of game. Not that I'm doing something well for fun. Of course, that's like I said, that's the main reason why we play games, why we play MMORPGs. But why not to have fun and also get additional boost for your character, right? Even better. So I think this is a good solution and combine that with that element which I mentioned earlier in the podcast regarding that freedom, that you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, that you don't get dictated, hey, you need to be 7 p.m. here, 10 p.m. here, 11 p.m. here. Perfect. I don't want that to be dictated. I want to dictate what I'm doing. So I think this is combined with this. I think it's really cool. I really like that. This is very rare game design. Usually MMORPGs don't have that. You need to be on the schedule. You need to be somewhere. It's either Siege, Boonstone, Reefstone, World Boss, PvP, PvE. You need to be somewhere. Not here in Aion too. You don't need to be. This evening you can go out to play with your dog outside on the yard, or go sleep. Go take a good sleep this evening. You don't need to play the game. You can play tomorrow. Oh my God. That's amazing. That's crazy. You don't need to be this evening here if you don't like it. That's great, right? I mean, at least that's my perspective on it, right? So,
do
anyway.
you think that modern MMO players have turned impatient, or like want things quicker, or how do I phrase this correctly? They just want things almost instantaneous, as if like a few weeks. Like they want to reach endgame, they want to progress much quicker compared to before. Because, for example, I'm going to give you an example. In Aion 1, leveling to level 50 at the beginning took us like at least a month. But back then,
even more than, yeah.
I just want to add, back then, I also now think that leveling was part of the experience itself, because as you level up, there were certain points where you stick around at level 30. There's already content around that, especially in Iron 1, whether it's some kind of a world boss, whether it was a specific map where you do some PvP or gather resources, whether it was a specific dungeon need to then get items to then progress further. And then as you reach level 50, you've already experienced a big part of the game, you've contributed, and then at level 50, only now you enter the end game grind loop, and then the true routine begins. But there was, you were more involved, I would say. Because right now, I feel like, especially with Korean MMOs, they push you towards the end game, because that's where they can actually monetize you, right? What can they do to monetize the leveling experience outside of maybe sell you a boost to level up, right? Things of this nature.
That's not the only reason. That's not the only reason. I will clarify in a minute what you're saying now. That's not the only reason. So I have checked. I was reading research like half year ago, which was talking about gaming development from 2026 up to 2030. That was document. It's a very cool document. I have it somewhere saved. Maybe I can link you over after. They were saying that that was not only regarding MMORPGs. You're talking here about in general gaming. That gaming developers needs to work differently from what you were mentioning, game Aion original game from like 20 years ago or something, right? Two words, one term: instant gratification. Game needs to provide instant gratification, or in worst case scenario, very fast gratification. Why? What you mentioned, new generation of players, they are lacking terribly of patience. We are now currently older generation of players, we are lacking of time. There is no time that you're going to do anything in thinking like, hey, I'm going to get my reward in 1 month or 2 months. I'm going to see results. It doesn't work like that. You need to get now and you need to get it fast. So whatever you do, whatever you are mentioning that NCSoft want players to reach endgame fast because that is very monetization. Absolutely. You are correct. That's normal. I mean, normal. Of course, monetization, money, right? But that's not the only reason. Imagine for 1 second now, just imagine for 1 second that we have leveling now in Aion 2 like we had leveling in Aion 1. Who would play Aion 2? Nobody. You know who would play? We, you and me, veteran players, we would probably play it. But new generation of players, they are majority. We are minority. And people would never play the game when you need to level up for a month or two. That sounds good on a paper.
I disagree.
That sounds like good. Yeah, but that sounds, I'll explain to you. That sounds good on the paper, but we are minority. We are not majority. We are judging by ourselves. You would play, I would play, but you cannot look only from your perspective. You need to look from perspective of other players, which are majority. And I don't think people would play that game. People would quit. They would delete the game. They would uninstall the game.
I would disagree with that. I would disagree, and I'll explain you why. First off, I feel like one of the reasons why people hate slow leveling MMOs, this is just personal observations, you can disagree or agree with us, is because, again, pretty much the way that's the game is built, for example, let's say you have an MMO, you have slow leveling, but then you have players who are going through that hurdle only to be experiencing nothingness in the sense of there is no content built around that because the fun happens at the end, right? So why as a player would I care about slow leveling if all the dungeon raids, exciting cool bits, skins, skills is already at the end of it? And most games right now are built like that, right? But if you build a game with enough story, enough exploration, enough side activities that would make leveling part of the journey, not just a tutorial, then I feel like a lot more people are going to play it. Because why does it matter if you're level 30 or a level 100, where at level 30 you can be doing a raid or a dungeon just as interesting as a raid or a dungeon you can be doing at level 100, right? So from the perspective of a player, this for me is just extra content, right? So again, that's why I feel like if we have a game with slow leveling right now, a new MMO with slow leveling, if it's built correctly and if leveling is part of the process, part of the journey, then I feel like it would succeed. That's why I disagree with you. Not because people don't like that. And I feel that there's plenty of like even single player games, although I know it's not an MMORPG, but slow pace, slow exploration type of RPGs out there, and people flock to those because they enjoy that exploration. And right now, a lot of MMOs are trying to emulate that RPG experience, providing more single player, how do I say, almost MMO light experience. And this was one of the worries like people had with Guild Wars 3, because before the today's and yesterday's announcements regarding what the content would touch upon or monetization for Guild Wars 3, people were worried, oh, is this actually going to be an MMORPG? Or is it going to be something like Werewind's Meat or Crimson Desert, something like this? So far, what we have, it is going to be an MMORPG. It's going to focus around, action, combat stuff, right? But, more details to come because we have bare bone information right now. I don't want to spread misinformation. But again, that's why I disagree with you, simply because the way games are built right now don't support slow leveling. They just try to rush you towards endgame. That's all.
Yeah, it's a good take. It's a good take, but I think you're giving too much credit. I mean, credit should be given where credit should be given, but I don't have that. I don't have that faith like you do in players. They would accept that. Even that you can give example that we have that in single player games, that people are incentivized that they go right in exploration where you have actually a longer leveling process, let's say it on that way, right? If you have content on level 30, 35, you can do, like I said, raids and stuff. I feel that younger generation of players, they don't have that patience. We are talking here about TikTok generation, and I don't believe they would enjoy in that. Maybe I'm wrong then again, right? Like you said, maybe there is something into that, definitely, that you don't need to reach endgame. They already have that, you have already content even before, right? During leveling process. But still, I think that what I can see, what is trend in most of the MMORPGs nowadays, for example, not only Aion 2, and I look a little bit at the Chrono Odyssey. Look what happened with Chrono Odyssey. Yeah, I mean, we are talking here about Aion 2. I don't want to divert over there on another MMORPG. But I don't know how much you did play Chrono Odyssey. For example,
I
in
played
first
the
closed
beta.
beta test one, you play the beta. We had these chrono bosses. There were points of infliction where basically it's a little bit harder content which you need a little bit to push. Try several times, or maybe if you die several times, maybe go back in open world a little bit, level up, gear up, go back to the boss, right? Then kill the boss and move forward, right? And I have to say, what they have done, I love it. That idea, right? That you have actually a little bit more, I wouldn't say hard leveling, but more challenging, what you were mentioning, right? And additionally to that, exploration, a little bit side quests and stuff. What is happening now for closed beta test 2? I knew it. They are implementing helper system to help the players to defeat the bosses, big ones, right? Man, I'm telling you, new players, they're going to quit. I know that you will say, no, they're not going to quit. They're going to push. Maybe they like challenge. I'm telling you, man, they don't like challenge. They, they will, maybe 1 out of 10. Out of 10 players will say, okay, this boss is hard. I'm going to try this boss for another 2 hours and until I defeat this boss, right? On mechanics, on skill. I'm going to learn mechanics. I'm going to learn strikes. Or, wait a second, let's go out in the open world, right? Let's level up my character for 2 more levels, 3 more levels, get up, go back to the boss killer. Man, 1 out of 10 players will do that. 9 other players, you know what they're going to do? Uninstall button. And I know that you think, I'm telling you, 90% of the players will uninstall the game. We are not major. What is the main problem? It's not a problem. You and me, we are not majority. We are a minority. I would play that game. I would enjoy it. We are minority. 90%, even more, are majority of the players are new generational players. These people are now 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Maybe even like that age, right? Around their 20s, early 20s. Man, they are not going to play that type of MMORPG. They're going to uninstall the game and they're going to say, man, I go play Tetris. So I'm serious about this. So developers of the game, they cannot afford themselves to do that. And I can see that in every MMORPG. Like on every MMORPG, it's kind of shame Ashes of Creation went like it did, right? It's over for that story, GG. But it would be really interesting to see experiment. Ashes of Creation had that grindy concept of slow leveling where you need to kill 1,000 mobs to level up and stuff like that. It would be really interesting to see how would players accept that MMORPG if it ever was released, right? Like full launch, everything. It was really interesting to see how much that MMORPG would really succeed with everything, no pay to win, subscription, right, and everything. If it wasn't a scam, it was a scam. It's over, right? But it would be interesting to see how that end up. It ended up like it did. However, maybe we're going to see that experiment in some other MMORPG. Sadly, not in Chrono Odyssey. For example, already now you can see probably, I don't know, did you see? I already covered that also on my YouTube channel videos. Chrono Odyssey is changing concept. Helper. You can summon a helper NPC which will be able to help you to kill the boss. Right? Why they're doing this? Because people will uninstall the game. They're not going to be patient. So I think this is something to take in consideration. I think that we always need to zoom out, right? We always need to check bigger picture because we are diving, which is good, in different kind of systems and stuff, right, regarding MMORPGs and Aion 2. But I believe that we always need to zoom out a little bit and see the broader picture. And broader picture, it's not really great. New generational players don't have patience. MMORPGs are not doing great, and developers need to adjust to the new gaming community, and they are doing that by Aion 2, Chrono Odyssey, Arcade Chronicles. All of these games, they are adjusting. They are doing exactly what they should, right? To basically to cater that new generation of players, which doesn't have patience, which expect instant gratification, and I think they're doing actually pretty good job.
Do you?
Aion 2 Chrono.
Okay,
Yeah.
now I just have almost like not a counter argument, but I'm just thinking now, and Are they catering to the right public though? Because you have, let's say, I don't want to generalize because obviously everyone is different, but let's, for the sake of this argument, let's just assume that
Yes.
the younger generation, the younger gaming
Yes.
demographic, shorter attention spans,
Yes.
they cannot dedicate more than 1 month or a few weeks on a specific game, especially an MMO. As an example, which obviously being younger, not that much disposable income, meaning less profits from them. For example, right? Are they catering to
Yeah.
that demographic? Is that the correct decision as opposed to sticking to the demographic that actually helped them throughout the years in the sense of like end of 20s, like late 20s, mid 30s, 40s, etc., that
Yeah. Yeah.
are used to this genre. Uh, Companies already know what to provide to them that works and that doesn't work, and then also them having the disposable income to then support those games long term without having to rely on pay to win mechanics. And I feel like this type of mechanics is simply because developers nowadays know that most MMOs don't survive past the 1 year mark, maybe two, and then obviously they have to make up for the loss of potential profits. Or I'm not an economist, I don't know the correct terms. To then
Yeah.
try to milk the players more, and at some point stop the game right when it's not profitable. Because even in the investors call, NCSoft said that they're trying with Aion too. And again, they can say whatever they want in investors calls. What matters is what they do. But what they said was they're trying to, this time around, surprise, surprise, this time around, they're trying to focus more on retention rather than, 6 months hype, drop the game, start a new project, right? But they also acknowledge that
Yes.
after a year or so, whenever the player count drops or sooner or later, they might have to rethink the way they monetize the game, which to me sounds like, oh shit, more pay to win or whatever, to then obviously recoup some of the losses or whatnot. So this is one of the things. So in my mind, it's like, are they even catering to the right public? Because then you're trying to make a game that works for younger, like for that specific demographic, but your
Exactly.
but your core demographics is something entirely else, and that decision dissatisfies both in a way. I hope I'm making sense. Sorry, I'm on 3 hours sleep today.
Yeah, you
For
are making sense. But wait,
uh,
are they succeeding? Let's see, let's check. Are they succeeding? Like question. First of all, are they succeeding? They are, bro. We are now,
define
like you are mentioning, 7, 8. Man, it's crazy. We are now 7 or wait. You have just let's like question. Are they
7 or 8
succeeding?
months.
Whatever they do, like whatever they do now. We are now 7 or 8 months after launch of the game. Streams from NCSoft are watched by 50 or 60K people. Check over their ranking list. There are several ranking lists from different websites. Ion 2 is in the top 10 MMO games, not MMORPGs on the market. Bro, that's impossible. To clarify, for a new game, new entry, 7
Market,
months
as
ago,
in
that,
globally or on Korea and Taiwan only?
not globally, Korean. I mean, game
But
didn't launch globally. How can
okay,
I talk about
no,
globally?
no,
Wait,
no, I
but
mean, no, I mean when
we
you
are
say
talking
no,
about
no, 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 no,
retention,
no,
right?
no. What? Sorry, not when I say globally. What I meant was when you say it's in the top 10 games, right? A game can be only released in Korea, but it can be so popular that it can be worldwide top 10. For example, that can also work.
Yes, yes.
I want to say, how would that argument then mean anything to us? Because Ion Classic was a massive success in Korea to the point where it actually overtook the main IP of the game. The company started investing more in its development, but ultimately it flopped in the West, and it flopped hard. Okay, so on one hand, it's good that the game is doing well in Taiwan and Korea, which means developers are going to invest resources into developing future
Correct.
content, not stopping it, and hopefully push back on some of the more predatory monetization practices, which we saw hate in the West. That's one of the benefits, I
Yes.
guess. But on the other hand, is they're entirely different demographics, right? They're entirely different player bases, and monetization changes can only help you so much because the core game won't change. You would still have to do the same
Exactly.
dungeons. You would still have to do the same content. You will still have to go through the same hurdles and grind as Korean players do. But their monetization is tailored towards bypassing those limitations and offering a chance to players to, progress much quicker. So is it the case of, if they keep the game as is, copy paste, then change the monetization, they're double hurting themselves in the way that the core game, let's say people in the West don't like the core gameplay because it's too Korean-like, okay? Too much grind, too much RNG, whatever. And also NCSoft hurt themselves for profits because basically they're earning less because they could have earned more at least at the beginning. But now they've made a game that the West doesn't like. And it also their monetization model is hurting them because they're not making profits, which means if it's not making profits, either they're gonna make it more predatory, which we don't like again, or eventually they're just gonna drop it. So it's a very interesting case, and it's also like it's very hard to localize a product only based on monetization. It's very difficult. It's a challenge unless you make core changes to the game itself. But then the other issue with that is, if like even they said, I don't know who we spoke to. I don't know if it was Martin or someone else. If they make drastic changes to the Western version that makes grinding or playing more different and more enjoyable compared to Korea and Taiwan, those regions, how do you think that's going to make them feel, which is part of their core market right now? Okay.
Look, first there is a rule. First there is a rule. You don't fix something what is not broken. So I mean, people like you said, definitely there is a difference. I'm not going to now into that. There is a difference between global audience, global players, and Korean players. Like you said, there's definitely is there. And like you said, it stands a point that if you change only monetization, not the game itself, then again, what is the problem? Look, what is the main problem for what is everybody from global players complaining about? First thing which everybody was complaining, crying, massively ranting over there, people about Aion 2 being on mobile devices. That's the first thing everybody complained. Solved. For global launch, we are getting full PC version of the game.
What does that mean?
We still don't know how.
We don't
exactly,
know.
I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't
does
know,
that
but
mean
wait,
different UI? Does that mean different monetization? Does that mean different gameplay? I don't know.
But look, wait. But it does, on one way, it doesn't matter. I mean, wait, it does matter, but wait, it doesn't matter. You know why? Because they did a move. No mobile for global. Whatever they're going to do, monetization-wise, UI-wise, it's going to be PC game only. Now, what is the second thing? Everybody complained. Was obviously pay to win, right? Luckily, most of the people globally, they don't know what is pay to win in Aion 2. They complain about subs and battle passes, which is good. It's a perfect position for NCSoft. Why it's perfect position? People don't understand that's not the problem. People are making fuss. I think that's a good expression, right? They're making fuss. They're making problem about subs and battle passes. Nobody cares. Like nobody cares about subs and battle passes. That's not pay to win. You know that. I know that. People don't know that. Why is that perfect situation for NCSoft? They can leave Kuna to Kina exchange, which is real pay to win. They can leave that. People don't know about that. People think about subs and battle passes. They just need to adjust subs and battle passes. And people will think, wow, they have soul monetization. It's not pay to win anymore. I have one sub, no battle passes, or I don't know, remove sub. Great, amazing. People don't know that. So I think they're having really good position here. Not everybody understand what is pay to win in Aion 2. They can all they need to do now is to handle monetization. You say game itself, right? You can mention that if they change monetization and not the game itself, will global players will like it? Well, today we are on this podcast, we are talking about Aion 2. No matter monetization, would we even talk or play Aion 2 if we don't like the game? I think that global players who ever play, most of the players, not everybody obviously, most of the players who have played Aion 2 on servers in Korea and Taiwan, they like the game. They don't like monetization. There are some people which will complain, veteran players will complain, why we don't have 6-party dungeons, why we don't have sieges like in original game, why we don't have this. Fine. People will complain about different things, but majority will say, okay, it's a good game. Problem is pay to win, right? So all they need to do is to solve that part of the equation, at least for marketing, because again, people don't know what is real pay to win. People believe they're going to pay to win in Aion 2 spending $20 or $30 per month, which is ridiculous. But great. That's kind of funny, ironically. Let them believe that. NCSoft can handle that problem, and we are good. You know what I mean? So I think if they handle monetization, we are going to be totally fine regarding game itself. Core of the game, No problem. They can always make adjustments, obviously, for local, right? But that's it.
I just wanted, because like we discussed a bit this earlier, it's a matter of it's almost a matter of managing expectations and perception, because again, what's the difference between paying a sub to access a game fully to even able to log in and play, as opposed to playing a game free to play, having access to all of the content free to play, and then paying a sub to then access the market, right? Because essentially that turns the game into a subscription based game. But here is the issue.
Exactly.
If you promote your game as a free-to-play game, the base expectation is that all of the features in that game are going to be accessible to the player. The moment you hide any of the core features, like marketplace, behind a subscription, that almost always...
Okay, so...
Well, for example,
but what is
wait 1 second. The marketplace is locked behind a subscription. That's what I'm trying to say. They're promoting the game as a free-to-play game. 1 second.
Yes.
They're promoting the game as a free-to-play game, but they force you to pay subscription to enter the marketplace, which is a key feature of any MMO, right? The other thing, obviously, you have benefits, and it's not small benefits, because one of the things I want to touch upon is the importance of opening chest at the end twice. Now, if you have the sub that gives you access to at the end of dungeons, you have a reward chest and you open that chest. If you don't have the sub, you can open it once. If you have the sub, you can open it twice by still expending twice the amount of energy. So you're not gaining more than a free-to-play player based on the energy expense itself. However, you're getting more per dungeon ticket, which we discovered earlier. So to refresh on that, dungeons in Aion 1, Aion 2 have something called a reward count, okay? Every time you do a dungeon and you open the box at the end, it uses one reward count ticket. If you don't have the sub, you open one chest at the end for one ticket, okay? If you have the sub, you open the two chests at the end for one ticket. So it's twice the loot, basically, for the same amount of energy. So this is the tiny thing, though. It's like, on one hand, you get more per your weekly allowance for dungeon on one character, but you're not getting more based on your energy, okay? So this is the thing. It's like, it's buried in this kind of things that you kind of have to play the game and pay attention to notice what the fuck is going on. Now, for some people, that might not be an issue, but if you want to completely free to play, that is already becoming an issue. And now we can have all sorts of conversation, whether, but why do people even complain? Do they want everything for free and stuff like that? And I'm like, don't promote your game as a free-to-play game then. Because by saying it's a free-to-play game, that means you're expecting people to come and expect free-to-play experience. Sure, you can sell them cosmetics, you can sell them something to basically, support the game and prolong it. But that's why I'm trying to say, sorry, it's a long-winded way of saying, it's also expectation mismanagement. Add to that the reputation of NCSoft. Add the fact that the last years have been incredibly rough for them, and flop after flop after flop.
Last year have been amazing for them. I mean, last year.
I mean, previous releases. Sorry, previous releases, right? Like we said, Tron and Liberty, Blade and Soul, New Aion Classic, even the remastered version or whatever now that they launched. So that's what I'm saying. So yeah.
Yes. I agree. Look, I don't disagree with you. I believe that from a marketing perspective, it's definitely not a good idea to advertise the game as a free-to-play game. Then you get in the game, like you said, and you have... But wait. We need to clarify something here for everybody here, and people who are going to watch video on your YouTube channel, this podcast. So many people don't understand what is locked. So these games we have talked about this during this podcast, incredible amount of content. We didn't touch too much PvP content. We have talked mostly about PvE, but there is also lots of PvP content, not that much as many players would like. It's having incredible amount of content, right?
Yeah.
Dungeons-wise, in general. Wait, I need to shut down my... Give me a second.
Yeah, no worries. I'll catch up with chat. I saw where there was PvP in chat. I can't scroll my... Sorry, guys. 1 sec.
Wait.
Just a reminder, if you guys have any questions towards us specifically, please use the comment highlight so I can see them, because I have severe ADHD, dudes. It's already hard for me to keep my train of thought, which already left the station years ago.
And I'm back. This was dog checks, Stormy dog checks. And so anyway, I know where I have stopped. So this is the main point, right? So many people don't understand this. To clarify this, like you said, game have incredible amount of content. Dungeons, solo dungeons, party dungeons, PvP, PvE. Subs. When people talk about subs, you have impression that like 60%, 90% of the game is locked. Like you can't enter dungeons, you can't do this, you can't do that. What is locked behind, like locked really, marketplace, which you, like you said, I agree, is one of the crucial elements, trading between players, right? Selling, buying stuff is one of the crucial elements for any MMORPG, definitely. Beside the marketplace, what is really locked behind the content? What is locked? Some dungeon that you cannot enter?
Nope.
You get less energy.
Yep.
I agree.
You get less
like
time in the
showing
abyss. Less time in the abyss as well.
Exactly.
What else? Let's
But
see.
again, what is locked?
Nothing. There isn't content that is locked specifically behind the sub outside of trading. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Exactly.
And
so don't get me wrong. I'm not here defending NCSoft. I'm not saying here that marketplace being locked is a positive thing, because again, like you said, it's a free-to-play game. Everything should be open. But I wanna clarify this. There is no content. There is content locked marketplace, which is important. But beside marketplace, there is no any kind of thing that you're going to say, hey, no, you cannot play that dungeon, or you cannot play that expansion or update, whatever, region, map, no. You have access to full game access. And I'm not justifying again or something, right? But again, we are talking here a lot, which is again funny. It's kind of funny. We are talking about subs. Again, you are playing Aion 2, same like me, 7-8 months now. You probably have 1K hours. You have probably more hours than me.
Yeah.
Tell me from experience. Wait, we know that subs by definition, just to clarify this, subs by definition, I want that we clarify this to clearly to have this. Subs by definition are pay to win, because any kind of advantage in the game which you can get by real money is pay to win. Subs are pay to win. Finally, but
wait, stop.
Are you really going to
Stop. Different games. No, I just want to add a different perspective to this, and it's not about whether it's pay to win or not.
Okay.
Subs in Aion 2's. So wait. Different games do subs differently. Some games have subs that pretty much, if you don't buy the sub, you can't even play the game. So by that definition, it's not pay to win at all. So subs in games following that rule, it's not pay to win because you can't even play, right? In Aion 2, it speeds up your progression, okay? In an MMO world, progression is part of the whole reason why you play the game. And if you're able to obtain resources quicker than other players, to do endgame content more better and faster and stronger than other players, that adds to that pay to win element. Now, how pay to win the sub makes the game, it's a different conversation. But some people say, it's not pay to win. Some people say it is. I normally say to people, just use your own definition for pay to win and apply that logic, because everyone has different understanding, and most importantly, people have different tolerances to these systems. Okay. So that's why the response has been different. Sorry, please carry on with your conversation.
Yeah, but here is the point what I wanted to ask you. I agree with that. Absolutely. Everything fine. But here is the point. Here is my question. That being said, what you said and what I said, are you really going to pay to win in AAA quality MMORPG called Aion 2? Are you going to pay to win in this game, spending $20
what is there to pay to what is there to win in this game? The chat even said it.
But wait, are you going to pay to win with this money? My question for you: are you going to pay to win in Aion, spending $30 per month?
No, you're just leveling the grounds in the sense of like being on you're pretty much stepping on the base level of most players because they're buying the sub, right? But then you have to think what is there to win in Aion 2, because like, sure, you can go and farm people in the abyss and you can be X form and you can XYZ, but like being number one in ranking arena and battlegrounds doesn't really give that much of a benefit. Now, I'm not saying, hey, that means it's fine, right? I'm just saying that the core content is tailored toward dungeons and raids, and even as a free-to-play player, sorry, not free-to-play player, sub-player, because that's the base most people play the game, the do raids, you can still do that. So do you compete for world first?
Exactly.
Do you compete for? If that's the case, then yes, that would impact you. If you're a PvP player and actually wants to be competitive in the Abyss rankings and arenas and battleground stuff like that, then yes, that would impact you. So again, you have to determine for yourself what kind of a player are you, what type of content part of the game you want to participate in, on what level, and then based on this we can say, is the game pay to win based on that definition for you or not. But the base, obviously the base game is pay to win. I'm not trying to escape from that, but again, there's like so much differences based on people's opinions and perception of this that you kind of have to touch upon every perspective to then have a wider understanding of this issue, I would say.
But most of the people, what I'm trying to say here, my point is that most of the people, when we talk about problem with monetization, right? When we talk about problem with pay to win, rarely, very rarely, you'll find people talk about Kuna to Kina exchange, which is the real core of pay to win. 50% of the revenue from NCSoft is coming from Kuna to Kina, 25% is coming from skins, and 25% of the revenue is coming from subs. That's official information, by the way. I don't know, did you see that? Now, most of the people are putting accent on the subs, which is, it's kind of funny, actually. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous to talk about subs and battle passes, right? And luckily, like I said, on one way for NCSoft, this is making them solution very much more simple, because nobody talks about Kuna to Kina, which is totally fine. But I think this is, like this evening, we are spending also here 10, 20 minutes time now talking about monetization, which is fine. It is important topic, definitely to cover. But again, people are putting accent or something which they shouldn't put accent. We shouldn't talk about this at all. And I know that I agree with you from marketing perspective. I know why advertise game as a free-to-play, then you enter the game, you have marketplace log behind the sub. Everything stands. But we are not talking here about pay to win or anything. $20 to $40 per month is not going to make you, like you said, pay to win in Aion 2. You're going to equalize the ground with other people who are having sub, nothing else, right? So it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny that we talk about this in 2026, but it is what it is, right? I think it's good that we can clarify this, right, regarding this topic. And like you said, it's a very broader topic, but I think, I think we are regarding monetization. If they adjust just something regarding subs a little bit, battle passes, subs, it will satisfy the masses, People will be happy. People will think, oh my God, one sub cheaper, we are great, or a removed sub, we are great. It's fine. People will believe that is great, right? But if they only handle that, we are good. I think it will be a good move, and that we can move forward. Content of the game, I think they can adjust something, definitely. They should adjust, again, regionally, right? Stuff like that for global version of the game. But what is important, I think that core of the game is good.
Kruno.
That we can move forward with Aion 2, no problem. Yes.
You've played Taiwan 1 as well, right? And you've played it for years, and a part of our community part of our viewers right now are also Aion 1 players. And I've seen people asking in other streamers' chats, like Canon as well. How would you compare the pay-to-win levels in Aion 2 compared to Aion 1?
Okay.
No, how would you compare it? That's the question.
So your question is fine, but there is a big difference between pay-to-win in 2010 and pay-to-win in 2018.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
What do I mean? Different.
Pay-to-win is pay-to-win?
I mean, but is it soft pay-to-win? Like touch of pay-to-win? Gentle, like a butterfly in the wind? Or is it hard pay-to-win? You know what I mean? So there is a big difference, massive difference. So when I can start to play the game, probably as you, early days, to be honest, I'm not sure exactly date when I could start to play the game, but it was a long time ago, 2010, 11. Pay to win was there, but that gap between pay to win player and free to play player, I was usually playing as free to play player. I was able to diminish that gap in, let's say, 2 months. When a new patch was there, like, I don't know, 3.x, 4.x, pay-to-win player have bought the gear, get the ancient coins or whatever. I have grind for 2 months. I was there. I was next to that pay-to-win player, standing in the same gear, same in power, my skills and everything. I was cool. Now, fast forward, 2016, 2017, update 6.x. You know it, man.
Yeah.
Transformations, minions, audience, books. Like, what the hell? What is happening? 75 new in-game systems, 35 new ways to pay to win. It's a big difference. Fast forward to 2016, I'm standing in 6 versus 6 player PvP. I'm standing to my teammate in my party, right? In dungeon, we are waiting that cooldown 1 minute to enter Runatorium. Raski, guy from Greece. I remember that moment very clearly. I will explain why. I'm standing next to him. I'm checking his gear. I know he's paid to win, but it's fine. He's with me in the party, right? We're playing together. And I have 1 minute to inspect his gear. I want to see because he usually have a very good gear. And I notice a bracelet on plus 12. And I see him, man, was it Federer bracelet? I don't remember, a golden plus 12. And I ask him, man, how much did you pay for it? Nothing too much, 5K. Nice, 5,000 euros, right? 5,000. Did you get it from event? Yeah. And then I'm thinking myself, I have bracelet on plus 7, which was crazy. I'm thinking how much time it will take me to get bracelet to plus 12, right? Same like he, golden. And I come to the conclusion that that's not possible. When I play another year or two, that's not possible. That I call pay to win. Because for me, as a free-to-play player, even playing the game like I was playing the game crazy amount, like 6-10 hours per day, right? I couldn't reach what he had, what he could buy with 5,000 euros. I couldn't reach even if I play a year or two. That was different in 2010 or 11. I could reach his level, right? Now I couldn't. Now, so when you say compare pay to win with Aion 1 and Aion 2, first I need to say to you, we are talking about subs. What we had in GameForge version of the game and later free-to-play versions of the game differently, didn't we had gold pack system?
We did after they did the transition. Essentially a sub-based
what was gold?
Basically a subsystem.
Exactly. You could buy gold pack though with Kina.
Yeah.
You could buy gold pack with Kina. So that was like, let's say for one moment, imagine that you could buy subs with Kina, right? That would be transition. But basically, we had also, it's almost the same thing. Because without gold pack, you couldn't access marketplace. You couldn't trade between players, right? And you had some other restrictions regarding drop. I don't even remember. So basically, regarding pay to win, comparing Aion 1 and Aion 2, I will say one funny sentence. Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it?
I'm ready to be entertained,
Aion
brother.
2 pay to win. Aion 2, same like Aion 2 pay to win, same like content of the Aion 2 is AAA quality. It's a modern pay to win, adjusted to 2026. Why am I saying this? They have done it smart. They have done it good. Because imagine, for example, just imagine for one example, if they have done subs that you can buy with Kina, they wouldn't earn 50% of the revenue less. Because why? People would play the game, they would play farm Kina and buy the sub, right? Nobody would spend real money for the sub, right? So you could do that. You could do that in 2010. You can't do that in 2026. Why? Because here, people would nobody spend even €1 or $1 in the game. They would play the game, farm Kina, buy sub, right? However, now you have a modern pay to win. Subs you can buy with real money. Also, Kuna to Kina, we had also Kuna. By the way, Kuna is not something first time we have ever seen in World of Aion. We had Kuna in Aion Classic. We had, I'm not sure, I think in Aion Retail, in the latest patches also there was Kuna, right? Kuna to Kina and stuff. Man, pay to win of Aion 2 is modern, and comparing to Aion 1, of course, it's different, right? But again, differences are big depending on which age of Aion 1. So I think it's not really measurable, right? Quantifiable. Is that a word even? You can't quantify really pay to win. You know,
I just want I want to say this because I tried to prepare a list, but I couldn't get it on time because this was a very like last moment thing we decided to do. So the thing with Aion 2 is that the money you can spend in the game gives you in-game gold you can then feed into your progression, correct? and that gold you can then farm in the game. Okay. Now the issue here is that system wouldn't be an issue. The currency exchange wouldn't be an issue only if dungeons weren't limited. Meaning, okay, you want a whale, you don't want to play the game, 1,000 euros, get your shit done. But don't limit normal players behind 20 runs per week, for example. What if I want to do what if I'm a degenerate and I want to do 100 runs today and get 100 million kina, for example? Okay. Why shouldn't I have that option? Well, why? Because by limiting us and offering us time-gated content, they can then sell us the solution by, hey, you can either buy the kina or get the reset scrolls.
Yes.
That's whatever. But even with that system in place, Aion 2 is still by some definitions, less pay to win than Aion 1, and I'll tell you why. In Aion 1, we had a material called Tempering Solutions, or Holy Water, I think that was the name in Gameforge. That can be bought from the shop. You can obviously obtain it in-game with very low drop rates. That item you would put on your accessories that give you PvP attack and PvP defense, if I'm not mistaken. And also you can enchant a feather like the broche that would give you extra attack and extra life. If you fail on the broche, it breaks and it would cost like millions and millions and millions of kina to get. On NA, when I was playing, they would sell that $2.5 or $5 per item. And people come on. That's fine. You can excuse it. But as soon you can still farm it in the game. You know, that's fine. The other thing they were selling on the shop when I was playing NC West was reset scrolls, and I believe they didn't have a limit on those because on our server Tiamat back in the days, there was a guy who was single-handedly pretty much generating all of the medals and composite mana stones and all of that shit on our server because he was doing 30 runs per day or some shit like this. Because he was just buying scrolls and buying scrolls and buying scrolls, okay? The other system they had in place that was, like, I would consider predatory pay to win is... so in Aion 1, you also had RNG stats on your gear. In 4.0 patch, it would drop gear, and then it would drop with certain amount of mana stone sockets. So you can have 4, 5, or 6. I think 5 was the bare minimum. 6 was the max. You would have random stats as well. I think just random in the sense of how much attack, how much crit, etc., etc. And then they would sell you a retuning scroll. You can use up to 3 times per item to change the stats. Now, the issue with that is you can end up with worse stats than you started with. So then what do? You throw away the weapon, you farm the weapon again by buying more reset scrolls to farm the dungeon, to then get the RNG weapon, to then buy the scrolls from the shop, to then retune the weapon. That for me is kind of predatory, not kind of, it's predatory pay to win. It's proper fucking fucked up predatory pay to win. Then on top of that, you had another system called composite mana stones, which are mana stones that give you 2 stats. For example, attack and accuracy, attack and crit, etc., etc.
I remember,
because the mana stone system in Aion 1 worked differently at that time, meaning if you fell 1 mana stone, all of the mana stones in that item would disappear. What they do, they sell you the solution. What was that? Finish it to socketing, okay? Which is basically guarantees that the stone won't fail. So if you want to socket an item, you would either try to socket a few without the finish to socketing, and the last few you would buy that, okay? Another thing. So if you compare this to that, both games are pay to win, but they're pay to win in different ways. And Aion 1 was, in my opinion, more in that regard. This is only the small part. In Aion 1, then in 6.0 patch, you had the collections, transformations, the gacha boxes with the transformations, the extra stat, so on and so forth. Not to mention the events. The events were paid to lose basically because it was a Gamba. It was a Gamba mini box for a chance to get an item, right? That's so again. So far, we don't have that. But of course, anything can change in the future. But so far, when you compare but again, maybe right now it's not fair for me to make that comparison because I'm comparing a game that had that throughout. Because Aion 1 obviously was around for like 13 years. Most of the system appeared much later in the game's lifespan, and Aion 1 is still 8 months down the line. So again, I feel like it's unfair for me to compare like this. But if we just want to say which game was, then now the fair comparison would be, is Aion 1 in its first year the same level of pay to win as Aion 2 in its first year. I would say Aion 2 is more pay to win than Aion 1 when it first started. Okay? Because then it was sub-based gaming, it followed the traditional sub-based model. I feel like this would be a more fair comparison. But if you look at the state of Aion 1 now or in the recent past when it was more popular compared to Aion 2 right now, Aion 2 is less pay to win. But again, based on their original timeline, Aion 1 was less pay to win. So I think that makes sense. I hope it makes sense.
Yes, it's a good analysis. It's a good analysis. Like you said, it's not really realistic to compare, but definitely early days of Aion 1 were not that much pay to win. At least that gap between pay to win and free to play player was not that big. Later, with many new in-game systems additions, breakthrough gear, then breaking what after +5 your bracelet feather was breaking also, right? If you fail and stuff like that, it was crazy. Events, you can mention that. What was that card event where you were collecting 24 cards? You remember? Shugo game. Do you remember Shugo game with that Shugo token, like slot machine? Do you remember that?
Yeah,
one?
that was the game I was referencing.
For real money, you're buying Shugo tokens, right? So definitely, we are talking here about. I don't know. To be honest, like you said, it's really hard to compare at this point in time. It would be a lie, we just lie to say that Aion 2 is not pay to win, or hard to say how much comparing to Aion 1. But definitely, again, I think again when we talk about this pay to win thing. I believe when we talk about monetization, luckily we are talking much more about subs than anything else, and battle passes, which again, in my opinion, they are not the problem. Problem is kuna to kina, and I think before asking, we are talking a lot about this monetization. I think we should ask ourselves, and I want to ask you something actually. That one question, like, I mean, it's fine. We need to talk about monetization, but before talking about monetization, I believe that always that should be a second question. I can mention that last night on live stream with Mr. Rosaponi, and I wanna emphasize something very important. First question when we talk about MMORPGs, not only about Aion 2, about Guild Wars 3 now, Chrono Odyssey, whatever, new games incoming. First question should be before anything, any other question should be main question: is it a good game? Is this a good game? Then, if the answer is yes, then we can go into another question. Second question will be monetization and pay to win. Is it pay to win? How much pay? Fine. If it's not a good game, we don't even go to second question. We quit immediately, because that is my personal opinion. That's my personal attitude. I refuse. I refuse to play non-pay to win trash. That's my personal attitude. Not everybody can agree with that. Some people will play non-pay to win game, even that is a trash game. Sadly, it is what it is. I'm not going to compromise on that. I want to play a good game. If the game is not good, I'm not going to play it. I can play it once, I can play it twice, I'm going to uninstall. Now, when we talk about Aion 2, you might like it, you might dislike it, you might like this, you might like that, complain about this. But I think that we can all agree it's a good game. Now, regarding monetization, that's the second question. Yeah, it is pay to win also. I'm willing to do this compromise.
It's a good game.
It's a good game.
Kruno, it's a good game for you, right?
Even with pay to win.
But everyone has different definitions of what makes a good game. So for you, it's a good game.
Yes.
For me, it's a game that has good base and has the legs to be something greater than it currently is. And that's why I'm hoping for Season 4 to pretty much solve some of the issues I currently have with the game. Otherwise, I would play Global, I would play the new class, whichever it is when Season 4 comes, and obviously I would then move on to something that better fits my needs and tastes as a player. Ooh, I'm fancy.
I'd say, what do you think in Aion 2 is... Wait, I have a question for you. So if you're saying already this, I'm really curious to hear. So in my opinion, Aion 2 is a good game, and I will elaborate that. So I think Aion 2 is a good game because idea about the game, that freedom of time, whatever you want to do in the game, you are free to do whenever you want. I like combat. I think that combat of Aion 2 is modern, fast-paced, fluid, not perfect, absolutely, but it's a hybrid between action and tap target combat made on modern way. I believe that user interface, UI, UX is made on modern way, not mobile. People don't understand difference between mobile and modern. There is a difference. Aion 2 is not a mobile game, it's a modern game. That's this UI. Also, I believe that part of the content, when we talk about Endgame, PvP wise and PvE wise, 75% PvE game, 25% PvP game, satisfies new modern concept of MMORPGs, fast leveling, graphic design. I think it's done in high quality way. And that's why I believe that Aion 2 is a good game. So this is my argument. Now you said that you have the game have legs and stuff, right? That
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
has a
yeah.
good core. So why it's in your opinion what is not good? What do you think should be better? I mean, what they didn't do, in your opinion, what they did. Let me clarify the question. What they didn't do on a good way, on a high quality way. What is trash, bad? What is done on the wrong way that you don't think it's a good game? Because I believe definitely it's a good modern MMORPG fitted to 2026, right? You don't think so. So I'm really curious to hear what do you think it's not good in we are not talking here about monetization. Monetization is a separate topic. We know about that. Not talking about pay to win. We are talking about game itself, right? What is
Yes,
not good?
Kruno.
I want
I
to hear
I
you.
understand your question. Now, we have to go back to why we started playing MMOs to begin with. Is that enjoyment, that being part of a world of wonder where you forget about your worries and you stop, and you enjoy a magical world, and you put yourself in the shoes of this fantasy character, and you escape your
Okay.
the troubles of your own world, right? Well, that sounds depressing.
Yes.
What I'm trying to get with this is like right now,
Yeah.
this game, like some people in chat said, it feels more like a dungeon simulator because there aren't that many open world activities you can do with players. And I'm not talking about PvP, I'm talking about exploration, I'm talking about like simple community things. Even something as simple as forming a party and walking with your people to the dungeon entrance together as a group to the party, although an outdated mechanic, it still brought the sense of playing together. I know what you're gonna say. There is a reason why most games have moved to like instant queue lobbies and stuff like that. I do understand that, but etc. The other thing is,
Exactly.
Ion had one of the more, I would say, it had a very original lore or like a interesting lore to begin with. It had interesting world
Okay.
setting. It had interesting world building. Right now, once you stop the campaign quest, that's it. There is no explanation as to. Again, we said this. There is no explanation to why you're doing that specific dungeon. There is no explanation as to like how this small town is relevant to the whole setting of the world. There is no immersion. That's what I'm trying to say. Basically, like you're just leveling your character, and then you end up in the end game group, which is you do your dungeons, you do your transcendence, maybe do some abyss PvP,
Okay.
and what do you do in the other time? Is there something you can sort of role play, socialize? I know these are some not important things for most players, and this is a very small thing. But for me, as someone that's enjoyed the older MMOs as well, like Guild Wars 2, like I
Now
was,
you could say.
yeah, but this is
Yeah.
something like people also respect because when I first joined Guild Wars 2, for example, that sense of grandiosity, the large open world with the different starting zones for different races and the lore and the interaction between players, and like I would be walking outside of the map
Yeah.
and I would see someone gathering, and then, oh hey dude, do you know the way to this? They point you, then you go there, you collect this achievement, then you group together for fractals, then you go do something. It's like that sense of playing together in it's just missing for me right now. Okay, and I know that they've made certain promises for season 4. That's why I said earlier, for me, season 4 will be sort of like an indication of whether they're making the right directions for the future of the game, or they're pretty much they're gonna do what they do now. This is a small part of it. The other things I'm not really keen on right now, as some people, is class balance, simply because that impacts both PvE and PvP, mostly PvP. But class balance is an issue with most games, so this is an ongoing work. So I cannot just say this, oh, because it's work in progress, right? But in its current state, for me, that's one of the issues, right? Other
In
than
which
that,
MMORPG class balance is perfect, man?
yeah,
In
I
which
know.
MMORPG?
That's
That's
why
always that's
that
not really argument of being
That's why
not good game. Like,
no, but what I'm
right?
trying to say is it sort of impacts on the class identity, because when the game first released, like it didn't matter if you're playing a healer or tank or DPS, because life leeching in PvE dungeons was so strong that you in some cases you didn't even need healers, okay? Tanks were out DPSing,
Yeah,
DPS dedicated classes. So what's the point of even having that class system in place if it wouldn't matter? Thankfully, they fixed that in the sense of
they
like now
did.
classes
Yeah.
are starting to have their
Yes.
own identity and own sort of a way of playing that's more
Yeah.
akin to a Holy Trinity system. But for me as a player, is that one thing is missing right now in Aion 2 that would make it like a much better MMO for me. Okay, I'm not saying for everyone else. It would make
Yeah.
it a better
Exactly.
MMO
So
for me. Okay, because just to emphasize, I do enjoy the dungeons. I do enjoy the transcendences. The end game grind
yeah.
loop is something like I don't mind too much, in the sense of like I know some people don't really like it, some people love it. It's a personal thing. I don't mind it. Can it be improved? Absolutely. But in its current state, it's fine for me. But I just consume the game in a different way. So I'm not trying to put my opinion into saying that, hey, I believe this, you should believe this, that's the only right way, right? But again, for me personally, the sort of world building, world setting, community events, they've even acknowledged that already in the Q&A sessions, right? People are complaining about this very issue. And NCSoft has acknowledged that yes, we will try to put more lore into the dungeon, whether it's through some kind of like starter blue quest or something else, to give you more of a, how do I say, uh, a lore description as to why
I
you
don't
should
know.
care about this dungeon.
To clarify, man, the things which you are now, this would be valid point that we are having this conversation in 2010. I see the problem here, man. Things which you are, complaining about, saying that they are not good, man. We are not anymore in 2000, man. 10. We are in 2026. The things which you are saying that we have most of the gameplay right in dungeons, that we don't have that socialized aspect when you are, for example, when I was making party for, you remember Catalamize, or
Yeah, yeah,
there when
yeah.
we are making party in Under and Catalam, I was making party for 1 hour, then we are all running together, right, to the dungeon. I needed to watch, is anybody left behind? You cannot left one person behind. Osmos could attack, kill that person. You're not going to enter in the dungeon, everybody, right? I needed to watch, is everybody on together, right? And then we go in front. Then I say, guys, wait, don't click enter, because if everybody click enter, one person is late, he's going to stand outside. You're going to a run is done, right? Then I say, click enter now, fast. We end that feeling, right? That feeling,
Yeah.
man. Forget about this.
I just wanted
Wait,
to
man. We
add.
are in 20.
I know.
This is not.
I guess the best way to put it, what I wanted to say is that it's. I would like to see more sandbox type of elements into the game. That's like community driven content rather than. I'm not talking about PvP.
Yeah, but
There's again, but this is the unfortunate thing. Like, and I see this so often on Reddit and on YouTube and on forums and discords. Like, it's ironic that people expect a single player experience in an MMO game, right? This is like the unfortunate,
yes,
because like even the next
yes.
gen games are more focused on small scale content, that single player experience with the option to cooperate with other players, rather than this sort of like let's team up and do things together, which is kind of ironic. I don't know. Yeah.
Man, look, those things which you are saying, they are not. This is not like, how to explain this. This would be like you can drive electric car and you complain when you press a pedal while you don't hear roaring sound. Or this would be like you driving automatic and complaining why my manual, when I shifting from one gear to the second or third, doesn't feel great. It's not, what you are saying is reminiscent of old age of MMORPGs. These what things which you are mentioning now would be valid to mark in 2010 or 2012. You know that what you have done now by saying these things which you think they are not good in Aion 2, you have actually complimented the game. You don't even realize, bro. You know what you have done? You have complimented the game, saying that game is done like it should be for 2026. And that means less socializing, more of solo and small party content, not that much in the open world, and that is a compliment. You are seeing it. If you understand what I'm trying to say, you are seeing this, which is fine. We are talking all from personal perspective, right? Subjectively, you, me, right? We are all liking or disliking things. But things which you think are negative, they're positive. They're actually elevating Aion 2 as a AAA quality product fitted to 2026, right? Because these elements which you said, they don't belong in 2026 MMORPG. They belong in the past. And we need to leave this behind us. So I'm saying that all the time, like these things which you are mentioning, there are some nice memories, lots of good memories, right? From original game and stuff. And not only Aion, different games, but especially from Aion. We need to realize, where are we now? We are in 2026. We are in age of AI, age of technology, age where not only games have changed, gaming developers, games, market, we have changed. Gaming community have changed. When I say we, I don't mean specifically our veteran players or younger. Everybody have changed. And for current market in 2026, Aion 2 is done like it should be. With this less socialized elements, more dungeon content, not that much sandbox element, it's a perfect MMORPG for 2026. These things you were actually, I know when you were saying like, I don't like this, I don't like that. You don't even know that, but you were complimenting the game. You were complimenting, saying that Aion 2 is done right. Because when, look, when, to clarify this, when Aion 2 would satisfy your itch regarding this socialite element, Aion 2 would be dead in a few months. Bro, it wouldn't succeed.
Okay,
like, seriously, it's kind of sad.
Chat had a very good point. At the beginning of this podcast, one of the things you said about Aion 2 is like that when it comes to visuals, they've done an outstanding job, right? So why would you spend so much time creating this vast and beautiful world, spending so much time on creating literally what is the best looking MMO in the market right now, only to completely disregard that aspect of the game, to never really make the players go through it besides the leveling part of the game? So why spend so much time? Why invest in that?
Very simple answer. I have already answered to that. I'm ready.
Go for it.
Open world is only a residual part. This is not the main part of the product regarding character, regarding beauty of the game. Regarding graphics of this game, main part of the thing which they are focusing is character design and outfits design. Money-wise, because it's all about the money.
For the
and
outfits.
also because your character... open world design is just residual. I'm not a native English speaker. That is, I think, word is a residual consequence of that. This is something additional. Look at this. This is the focus. This is the focus, not the world. A world looking beautiful is a plus. Which, of course, it's Unreal Engine 5 game. They can really good utilize Unreal Engine 5 with the game. That's not the main thing. Main thing is dungeon design, which, by the way, Asolo knows. Dungeons in Aion 2 are looking crazy. Like, you think you have seen beautiful dungeons? No, you didn't. If you didn't play Aion 2, you don't know what is a beautiful dungeon. Transcendent dungeons are insane. Or Expedition Conquest dungeon, they are amazing. Also, Abyss. By the way, Abyss is looking amazing. Open world is looking good. But again, that's not the main motive. While your character is outside, this is something additionally which you have a bonus which you can get. So, if you understand what I'm trying to tell you, I think that we are looking on MMORPGs to clarify something, man. I don't know, are you aware? Like, many people are saying, like, MMORPGs are dead. Gaming genre, game genre in general is not doing great in the last year or two, but especially in the West. Eastern is doing much better. MMORPGs are dying. No. MMORPGs are changing. They are shifting. They are evolving. And not everybody can accept that MMORPG in 2026 cannot be like MMORPG in 2010. That means that concept of the game, in everything, design of the game, PvP, PvE ratio, design of the game, pay to win even. Kind of funny, right? Even pay to win is modern. MMORPGs are shifting. They're shifting into more single-player element games with smaller parties in the mind. And they are shifting in generally into something in mix of MMORPGs, MMO light games, which we are seeing, for example, in Where Winds Meet, games like Where Winds Meet, Honor of King's World, type of mix of single-player game and MMORPG. And that doesn't mean that MMORPGs are dying. No. That means that MMORPGs are evolving. And we as the players, like it or not, you need to accept that we are not anymore in 2010, that we cannot have the game concept. You can try to do that. You can definitely try to do that. Some gaming developers are trying to do that. I can promise to you, most of them will fail because you need to evolve. You need to evolve, and we are evolving. And we as the players, we need to accept that MMORPGs in 2026, they cannot be like in 2010. And I'm not talking about graphic design. I'm talking about, for example, one example, ratio of PvP and PvE. Many people complain about. I don't know how can people not understand that modern MMORPG in 2026 will not survive on the gaming market if it will focus on PvP. Aion 2 have done incredible job. Aion 2 have also lots of PvP. Aion 2 have lots of PvP, but main focus of the game is PvE. 75% of the game is PvE. 25% is PvP.
The issue, most PvP games, the issue most PvP MMOs don't survive is because inherently you cannot focus on developing equally good content for both PvE and PvP, and effectively you are forcing PvP players to go through PvE to do the one content they actually want to enjoy doing, which is PvP, right? So that's one of the hurdles. That's why Blade and Soul had such a popularity in the PvP scene at the beginning, because you could do arenas which were equal gear, and it even had esports scene as well, and people were enjoying that because you can even make in-game gold by doing arenas because you can sell the gems and stuff like that. So again, that's very difficult to achieve. So if I feel like, again, when it comes to like that, Guild Wars 2 sort of had the right approach, because again, but that's thanks to their horizontal. I mean, the arena was equalized, but then also because you have horizontal progression, there was a hard cap on the gear you can obtain to then using the world versus world map. So it was like, that was a very good approach, I would say, for people who want to do PvE and PvP. How you can do that in a vertical progression? Again, I'm not an expert. I'm just a consumer. I don't know. That's it, really. That's from me.
But that's not. But wait. But I will tell you something. That's not the main reason why PvP games are dying in 2026. You're wrong, though.
I didn't say that's the main reason that they're dying. I just said that.
I not main, but you said.
I said that
it's part of the main reason.
It's part of the reason why there hasn't been a successful PvP MMO in the long term. I'm not saying that the games are dying because of that.
Why they're not succeeding?
Why?
But you know why they're not succeeding? It's much more simple. It's much more simple, and it's shocking. For many veteran players, hard to accept. Again, we are veteran players. It took me a time for me to accept that. But you know what is happening, man? People don't want to play PvP. People want to play PvE, not PvP. Now, I'm not talking to clarify this. In the last year or two, you know that I'm analyzing different games, not only Aion 2. I'm analyzing what's happening with Chrono Odyssey, Arcade Chronicles, many other. There have been pools out there. There have been pools. Did you see pools from Chrono Odyssey? What do you want to play? That pool was 2 years ago. Another pool from Arcade Chronicles 1 year ago. These are pools on thousands of people. You know what was the question in the pool? What do you want to play in MMORPG? You have option PvP, PvE, exploring the world, crafting, stuff like that, right? You know what was the getting? Almost usually about 50-60% PvE. You know how much PvP get? 11%.
But Kruno, you know why? But you know why that is?
Nobody wants to play. Man.
But you know why that is?
Yes.
Because they reply to that question based on their current experience. How can you say to a poll that you prefer PvP when you haven't had a game that would incentivize that in a way you would enjoy it? That's why people reply they want to play PvE game, because they know for a fact if the game is PvP, most likely it's not going to be up for their. But again, that's me just speculating or speaking from a perspective of a PvE player. But like Keg in my chat said, one of the reasons for that is just poor implementation and monetization around that. So there you go.
No, but wait, these were different pools. Wait, this was not pool, to clarify. Wait, these pools were general.
I know.
These pools were public pools made before game was played. And this was not a pool like in the game specifically for that community. No, that was open pool on X. We can pull that pools out. Man, like it's very hard. Again, it's not easy to accept. It's really hard to accept for many veteran players. But this is a fact. Games, MMORPGs, now new games. I'm not talking about old games. I'm not
Kruno.
talking here now. World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, right? New games are succeeding MMORPGs much better if they have majority of the content PvE wise, not PvP wise, and that's very hard to accept for many players, right?
I just
But that's
want,
true, you know.
I understand that. However, what I'm trying to say is people, when, especially when you're asked the question, what do you prefer? By definition, when you compare things, you compare them
Yeah.
on previous experience or what you know about them. Now, if you ask me, what do I prefer to play long term, PvP or PvE? Knowing how most Korean
Yes.
PvP games end up being, if I want to play a game that has a long-term chance of success, I would choose a PvE game because you can always say, well, what's there to pay to win in a PvE game, right? Because I know
that's
that
correct,
usually when there is Korean and PvP, usually shit hits the fan, right? So when you give a poll to players, especially it's Arcade Chronicles or whatever, which are Korean games, by the way, probably within their Korean audiences, okay, so I cannot say for the West, based on their previous experience, if they haven't had a positive experience with a PvP game, MMO I mean, why would they vote I want more of what I hate or I haven't experienced in a good way?
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense to chat and to you.
Although, I mean, you have lots of PvP in Aion too. And by the way, just to add, everybody here, don't you think for 1 second that Aslo knows you can play more PvP than me? Definitely, I didn't. I have ping 200. I have tried a few times. It was terrible. But we have seen streamers like Whelps, Joy over
Yeah.
there. You can play PvP. You can have fun in PvP. Whenever I turn on a live stream from Whelps or Joy there all the time. Joy is not recently. He's playing Ragnarok. But Whelps, he's most of the time playing PvP. He is playing also a lot PvE, but definitely there is also room for that. And I think, again, for a good MMORPG, definitely there should be both. Definitely both. Good MMORPG, there are many conditions to make a good MMORPG. It needs to have a good combat. It needs to have lots of content to play, etc. One of the things is to have both PvP and PvE. And Aion 2 have that. Just, which many veteran players will not like, a ratio of PvP and PvE is not like in original game. Original game, man, you remember, original game. What did we play the most time? PvP. Do you remember?
Because it
Every
was
day, what
good
did
and
we
it
play?
was fun. That's why.
Exactly. But
PvP
wait, we
9
can
1 was
play
good.
twice per day Dredgen, Sieges in Abyss, Sieges in normal map, Runatorium, GMR, Kamar Battlefield, 12 versus 12, SVBB. What we didn't play, bro, we have played PvP all night, all day, right?
Because
But
it was
again,
good. That's why.
but wait, but again, we need to shift yourself from this age, right? And go here now in 2026. And you need to be realistic, not to say like, hey, don't play PvP or PvP is that. No, PvP is still part of MMORPGs, but in different scale, in different thing, right? In different measure. And definitely recipe for success. I'm not talking here about Aion 2, by the way. Wait, by the way, you did play Chrono Odyssey.
Yeah, I
Chrono
did.
Odyssey,
The
many
beta.
new upcoming MMORPGs. If somebody thinks now here for 1 second that Chrono Odyssey will have more PvP than Aion 2, I can tell you right away, you are wrong. All of these modern games, developers are smart. They did analyze the data. All of these new upcoming MMORPGs, I'm not saying all, for example, Bellatores, that's mostly focused on PvP. Lord of Mysteries will have kind of both. Different games, different ratio. But most of the new upcoming MMORPGs, if they want to succeed, they're going to have a bigger ratio of PvE content than PvP content because they know this is the way for longevity of the game in the longer time in the market. If you want that your game dies, very simple. Make more PvP game than PvE game is dead. Like I can get, I know it sounds rough. And probably Assalon will say now, Mr. O will tell on the chat probably, hey man, you're wrong. If you do a PvP on a good way, if you do a PvP engaging, right? If you do make PvP fun, game will be fine. No, it won't.
Chrono.
No, it won't. No, it won't.
I just want to
Yes.
say that I'm going to probably have to quit my job to edit this podcast because we're like 3 hours long. So I would like to... We said 2 hours minimum. Half, right? We said an hour and a half. Now we extended to 3 hours. I first want to thank you for joining. Yeah. I want to end the podcast with a quick fire session, some questions, okay? A rapid fire question just to on a positive note, I guess. But before that, quickly tell me 3 things you like about Aion 2 to sort of summarize, and 3 things you would like for them to improve. Quickly, without thinking, just top 3 things on both sides.
3 things which I like, they improve.
Yeah,
or
and
what I like.
3 things you like, and then 3 things to improve.
3 things which I like. I like combat, modern, fast-paced, fluid. I like graphic design, the best-looking MMORPG currently on the gaming market. Maybe in the future we're going to see more beautiful games, but right now the most beautiful. And I like classes system. I'm getting bored of that 2-weapon thing from New World and Throne of Liberty. I'm sick of that, to be honest. It's beautiful to see MMORPG when clearly on beginning you can see playable classes which I can pick from. That's it. I love it. Things which they should improve. 4-player party to 6-player party. I have advocated for that for a long time. I have made several videos on my YouTube channel advocating for that. Veteran players will like that. And not only that, it will make a better party composition, because now you need to push really what you need. Now you can take Chanter, Cleric, you can take few classes, 6-player
Extra,
party would be
more
amazing.
diversity.
Yeah, definitely. A second thing which they definitely should improve for global version of the game, at least I can say that, make it 1 sub, make it cheaper. Monetization is issue. Luckily, most of the people, again, funny, right? Complain about subs. They don't know what it is, but it's okay. Make 1 sub, make it cheaper, make people happy. Game will have more players for the game. And third thing, what they need to do, definitely, they need to keep this direction. There is only one mistake which NCSoft can do, and it's not connected with pay to win. I know that people will say about subs, man, you know what the biggest mistake NCSoft can do? They can change direction into making Aion 2 more PvP game. If they do that, GG, bro. We can search another game. You can just uninstall Aion 2, let's search another game. They need to keep this PvE direction and some PvP content. If they do this, you're going to play Aion 2 until Guild Wars 3 and even longer. If they decide to do like Throne and Liberty, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit PvP, a little bit PvE, then a little bit PvP, game is dead. Like we can uninstall the game right now. I mark my words, what I'm telling you right now. So that's my take on that.
Okay, Kruno, and now for the rapid fire questions. Are you ready? Okay,
ready,
first, Ilios or Osmodian? What do you prefer?
Ilios forever.
Favorite class?
Chanter. Dynamic movement of the character. It's not the best class regarding DPS, but regarding movement abilities, they have done this class amazing. Chanter, definitely.
Okay.
What about you?
Gladiator now. I would say normally Chanter, but now I'm hardcore Gladiator decision. I just want to go Gladiator. I love that class. Horizontal progression or vertical progression?
Horizontal. Horizontal gives more meaning to the game and generally accomplishment feeling overall in Endgame. I mean, both are important and both needs to be done right, but horizontal.
Fast or slow leveling?
Fast leveling, just because I like more slow leveling, but for goodness of the game, it cannot be slow. It has to be fast. It's sad. I don't like fast leveling, but it's something like it's like when you need to eat carrot. You need to eat lots of carrot because it's good for your health. It doesn't mean that you like the carrot, but you need to eat it. Same thing.
No, I love you, dude. You give the best example. I love you, dude. I just love you.
Wait, am I wrong? Wait, am I wrong? I'm right. I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
What's list one of the most overrated features in Aion 2? What's the most overrated feature in Aion 2?
Overrated feature in Aion 2. Pay to win.
What's one of the what's one underrated feature in Aion 2? Something that people don't pay too much attention to.
Playing Aion 2 as a sub player, free-to-play player. I wouldn't call that a feature, but people are seriously underrating and they're thinking that Aion 2 is not playable, not completely free-to-play. You need to buy subs, okay? So if you buy subs, I believe that. Regarding feature of the game, underrated, I don't know, like really underrated. What is currently? Yeah, I wouldn't say there is something really underrated. You know, I don't know what.
Booba slider or no booba slider?
Oh my god, what do you mean, bro? We don't play games without the boob slider. What is this question now? You're shocking me, man. Here, so boob slider 70%. If you cannot adjust boob slider 70%, well, I mean, this is ridiculous.
Okay.
Wait. We are not mixing one attitude here. There is no place to ideologies, politics, or religion in games. Games are for gamers. Any kind of ideology in the game, I'm totally disapproving. So if the game doesn't have boob slider, I'm concerned because what the hell? What the hell is that? So I'm already on half uninstalling the game. What is this behavior? No, that I'm not seriously. On serious note, that is one of the reasons why games are failing. People are not doing this normally.
Chat, it's official. Booba slider is the reason why games are failing. It's
no, it's absolutely one of the reasons why we like games from Korean developers. Not only NCSoft, Korean developers, Eastern developers, they're not ashamed to put normal booba slider. And that's, you don't need to go to 100%, but 70%, I can highly recommend. I need to make guide on my YouTube channel how to properly adjust boob slider. Guys, 70% minimum, we are good. That's
okay. I don't want to go to jail. Let's move on with the next thing.
What jail? We're not going to jail, bro. This is how you do it, bro.
Okay, listen. Okay, listen. What's one system that needs to disappear from Aion 2?
System to disappear from Aion 2. That's a hard question. I wouldn't say all system, but I really disapprove currently system regarding energy sharing, boss skill counts, tickets in dungeons. I think that system shouldn't be disappearing, the deleting, but definitely that system they should improve. Also a little bit complexity over there of the crafting. When you open that crafting menu, you get a headache. So it's I don't think they should remove these systems, but I don't know regarding removal completely some system in the game.
Yeah.
No. I really don't know that they should remove some system from the game. No, I don't know. I wouldn't
RNG. Anyway.
Man, wait, that's not possible. Wait, but just 1 second. Just one little bit from this RNG. Man, how is the game going to earn money? If
by delivering
RNG,
a good... Okay, go. It's fine.
Not enough money, bro. Wait, imagine that you are now one of the managers in CEO. You have the power. When you would ask in the meeting, bro, should we remove RNG from the game? I would ask you seriously, bro, what the fuck? Are you normal? Why would you do that? You don't remove RNG. RNG is generating money. So if you are a gaming developer, no. RNG absolutely not removing, right? RNG is generating money, so it should be in the game. Deal with it, right? And that's it, right? So, like, seriously. So,
what needs to make a comeback in Aion 2? From Aion 1 or...
Oh, I have it, bro. Dredgen. 6 versus 6 player, Dredgen every day, two runs. Every day, 2 runs, best time ever. I know that many of you would like to say sieges. I know that many of you would like to say sieges. But guys, I have to tell you, it will not work. I don't know how would UE5 handle. We have seen already, you can see, man, what is happening in 200, 100 people. Imagine 5K people, 3K people in UE5 or there in the siege in Abyss. No, Dredgen. That's me.
Okay.
You also agree with that?
Next question. Well, this is a rapid fire session, Kruno. So I'm trying to get through the question as quickly as possible. I
can't answer. That's not possible. No, that's what,
feel free to. Okay. One thing you are most excited about, Aion 2? That you're looking forward to?
Most excited about?
About the game overall.
Playing with normal ping, man. I would cry first day, man. I cannot play Shugo game normally, bro. I'm getting over there in the second place in the Shugo game. I'm not even upset about the PvP, man. I'm getting upset because I can't win a Shugo game. In Shugo Rate Evasion, I play every evening. I'm getting the second place, bro. I can't. This is terrible. And why? Because I don't see that rate coming on time, right? So seriously, right? Playing with normal ping, enjoying the game full capacity, that I can finally go in arena, a little bit in abyss, and even that I can dodge, that I can finally jump above the blue wave coming in Draupnir, or I don't know, in Arcanis, that I can jump above the wave with normal vision, right? I need to jump blindly, right? It's crazy. So yeah, playing with lower ping. That's
okay. It. And last but not least, what's one thing you're most worried about?
Most worried about. I'm most worried about NCSoft changing direction from PvE game into PvP game. If they do that, Aion 2 is dead. It will destroy the game. I'm afraid that there will be pressure. There will be pressure from global community to provide more PvP content, large scale, small scale, more PvP content, less PvP. If they listen feedback of the players, we can uninstall the game. Please, NCSoft, don't do that. Game is dead. I know that many of you would like that. I know this is a rapid fire question, but it's very important to understand. Not good. They need to keep this direction. If they keep this direction, we're going to play Aion 2 for years. If they decide to move more in PvP and go a little bit PvP, a little bit PvE, it's going to happen same thing like Throne and Liberty. The game will be dead within half year. So that I'm worried about. Other than that, we're fine.
Okay. Kruno, thank you so much for being a guest on my podcast. I hope you enjoyed your time. Chat, I hope you also enjoyed your time.
Thank you.
Feel free to give this man a follow.
Thank you for inviting me, bro.
No worries. Enjoy the conversation.
Thank you for inviting me, man. And I hope very soon you're going to return the favor. Very soon we're going to see Aslan, guys, as guest on my podcast in about 10 days. Not now, 10 days, maybe 2 weeks. We are going to have Aslan as guest. We are going to also make it minimum 3 hours and 15 minutes. I'm joking, of course. Maybe not 3 hours and 15 minutes. But definitely, it was a real pleasure to be here, guys. Thank you, Aslan, for inviting me. Thank you, everybody, for watching, guys.
Thank you.
And yeah, it was a real pleasure. Thank you, man.
Thank you.